One. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OWN Masters Valencia. It is phase 2. We are in the league phase right now. I'm your host, Pegaz, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. How are you doing today on this fine Wednesday morning, Duncan?
I'm doing fantastic, Panda. I cannot wait to get into our games today. We are officially over halfway through league play, so I'm definitely excited to see how our leaderboard is going to be shaking out as we kind of near the end of league play here. But we've got 4 pretty good games coming up today. I feel like pretty much every single game is the determination has not been decided yet. So I'm hoping that we maybe get a couple of upsets today. Maybe we finally go to a set 5 since we didn't get any yesterday. But overall, man, some great games on the board for today. Excited to be casting it with you, Panda.
Yeah, I'm excited to be casting alongside you too. Yeah, we have 4 amazing matches with 8 stellar rosters. We have Ping Abusers versus Reverso Gaming up first, and then we follow that up. Wait 1 second. There we go. Okay. Then we follow that up with Inner Circle versus Reply Totem. Then we have Eclipsar versus SK Gaming, and we round it out with Team Heretics versus Humble. This is match number 5, which is 5 of 7. So we're already more than 50% of the way through this league phase. And it's very important for some of these teams to get dubs today, because if they don't, they're pretty much out of the tournament here.
Yep, definitely, especially starting with our first match of Ping Abusers versus Reverso. These are 2 teams that have had a pretty big struggle throughout our first 4 days of league play. So Reverso is sitting at 0-4 right now, Ping Abusers at 1-3. So they're definitely 2 teams that are going to have to get a win today in order to qualify. Looking at Ping Abusers there, they definitely still have a chance to make our top 4, but they are going to have to play some pretty mistake-free Brawl Stars. But a matchup against 0-4 Reverso is exactly what the doctor ordered for them. Very curious to see which of those 2 teams that has been struggling is going to come out on top in match number 1 today.
Yeah, I know, and you were mentioning that Reverso is in a state of flux, and that's due to Roop's departure to Heretics. Gaston and Reeves have taken over, and they played in the previous match day, but getting swept by Eclipsar. Wait, oh, we got free gems. Make sure to scan the QR code, because you might be able to get 50 gems, but if you're too slow, you're gonna miss out on it. So, don't snooze, otherwise you lose. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. Yeah, so Gaston and Reeves have taken over and joined this Reverso side, but getting swept yesterday by Eclipsar doesn't exactly fill me with confidence. Yeah, but Ping Abusers are doing quite well, though being under Yannick's direction. They're performing better lately and have nearly pushed Heretics to 5th set in close matches. I'm betting Reverso takes this, but I'd be pleasantly surprised by Ping Abusers win too. Honestly, I think it is kind of a tough call considering so much of chaos. And when you're talking about chaos, we got to talk about the balance changes that recently just happened. When I say recently, 7-8 hours ago, maybe 9 hours ago, we got new balance changes, guys.
Yeah, these balance changes are definitely going to change the way that our pros are drafting today. It's definitely on a little bit of a short notice for these guys. Obviously, they go through scrims constantly. They're always testing out the new meta, but haven't had a whole lot of time to prepare for this new set of balance changes. But we've seen a ton of gadget changes, a ton of hypercharge changes, and some brawlers that have not been shown very much love in the recent past have received buffs. That includes Pam, Willow, Bonnie, Crow, Meg, and Miko. So definitely excited to see what of these new balance changes our pros are going to be testing out in the draft today. Personally, I'm excited to see a little bit of Miko. Hopefully he'll be able to slide his way into a draft here, but overall there's going to be a lot of changes, so we're going to have to be on our toes when we're talking about this draft today, Panda.
Yeah, I know a lot of the usual suspects that we see in draft in the previous meta have got nerfs, big nerfs. Like for example, Buster has got a HP nerf, the damage nerf to Meeple, but a huge nerf coming on Lumia. I think that was expected. She gets 400 lesser damage, and the cooldown for her gadget, the ice one, is now 4 seconds longer, 22 seconds to actually do that. A brawler that we were talking about off stream was Gray, and seeing that getting a nerf was huge, because the number of times you get walking canes in modes like Knockout and Bounty just make it so hard to really compete against Gray, and I feel like it's still going to be picked up a lot just because a 3-second nerf to the gadget is consequential, but not to that extent for Gray. I feel like he became meta only because of the gadget rework, so it's still going to be a long ways till that gets out of the equation. Angelo and Byron are also going to be nerfed a little bit. Angelo with his Pierce gadget, and for Byron, it is the one where you can shoot 3 or 4 projectiles at people at the same time. We got some hypercharge nerfs as well. There is a Stu nerf, 33% lesser charge rate for the hypercharge, and unfortunately, your favorite brawler also got a nerf with a 12.5% nerf rate to the hypercharge, with it being for Mandy. And finally, we also got Chester, the Manchester squad, getting nerfs all across the board, which is I feel like a lot of people are going to be sad about this one.
Definitely. I'm very, very sad about the Mandy nerf, 100%, but the Chester nerf should be pretty impactful as well. Definitely, you can see Supercell is trying to tune down some of these more OP hypercharges, like Stu, like Mandy, like Chester, so I do think overall it should be a pretty good change. But going into some of our buffs here too, we've got a couple of brawlers that have not been shown very much love lately, especially starting with Pam, who is going to have her main attack damage increased from 260 to 300, and we have seen Pam work on a couple of hot zone maps, so definitely looking forward to see if she's going to be able to have a little bit more of an impact in the meta as a little bit of a higher DPS brawler now. We also saw HP buffs to Willow and Jessie, who are 2 brawlers who have also not really found a place in the meta recently. Willow has been meta on a couple of Brawl Ball maps, but really just kind of as like a niche pick, as like a last pick if your comp kind of demands a thrower right there. But the one that I'm most excited for, Panda, is the Bonnie change, where she can now use her super immediately after jumping to return back to her cannon. So it's going to make her a little bit tankier. It's going to make her a bit more versatile. You don't really have to worry about using your jump incorrectly as often, since you are going to be able to pop right back into that cannon. So I'm very excited to see. I've seen a couple of pros tweeting that they think that Bonnie might be very, very meta now. So I'm looking forward to see if she finds her way into some of these games today. But overall, it has been quite some time since we've seen Bonnie in competitive. So I'm looking forward to hopefully catching a little bit of that today.
Yeah, and Bonnie perennially, after the gears have been introduced, has been a big user of the supercharged gear, right? So the way that Bonnie's rework is right now, I'm a little confused about what gear you still use. Or do you still use the super gear, or do you use some other gear instead to take its place? And I think that Bonnie is definitely going to be a much more meta pick. Expect to see her on Knockout more, and I would say even maybe Heist. I'm not 100% sure about the Heist though, because I feel like in Heist she's more of a dive brawler rather than trying to stay alive. So maybe Knockout and Bounty makes more sense.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Another one that I'm excited for, though, is the Meg movement speed increase. We did see Meg slip through a couple, or sneak into a couple of the drafts that we saw yesterday. She has been a little bit in the meta as kind of like a tankier option, especially in modes like Hot Zone, and sometimes even a Knockout, considering she more or less has 2 lives. So with a little bit of extra movement speed, she might be able to kind of find her way back into the meta in Knockout, back into the meta in Hot Zone. I feel like with the amount of tankiness she offers, and with that increased movement speed, she could be really good. She also has a very underrated hypercharge that we haven't got to see a whole lot of, but that swipe with the mech is like actually a little bit ridiculous, honestly. It's got like pretty much infinite range right there, so I could definitely see her being back into the meta. And then another one that I'm really excited for is the Miko attack speed buff. I think that it's about 8% for his attack reload speed. I feel like that is an area where he suffered a lot, but that's a brawler where if he is meta, he is kind of very difficult to counter, considering he can jump over any single attack in the game. He can get in and out of situations incredibly quickly. I feel like especially in Knockout and Bounty, we might be able to see a little bit more Miko today. And although he can be a little bit toxic when in the meta, he's a pretty fun brawler to watch as well. So I guess we'll have to take the pros with the cons as far as Miko goes.
Yeah, and speaking of the pros and the cons, the biggest con right now obviously is for the pros, because of all these balance changes. They have had 0 time to adapt, chat. So this is going to be a very interesting match day, because we're going to learn all sorts of things along with the pros, because they obviously will not know how this is going to completely operate. Probably going to take a few days, but I am ready for the anarchy and the chaos today, Duncan.
Definitely. I feel like we are definitely going to get our fair share of experimental drafts today, but it looks like we are getting into our first set of the day. We've got Ping Abusers, who are sitting at 1 and 3, versus Reverso Gaming, who's sitting at 1 and 4. Our first map is Pinhole Punt. We have B, Lumi, Stu, Chester, Meeple, and Lumi banned out there. So we're still seeing some of the same bans that we're used to seeing. Reverso picks up a Finks with that first pick, and Ping Abusers grabbing a Bow and Carl. So far, Panda, it's looking like the same old drafts that we're used to from the previous days of League play.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the teams are gonna try to, keep with what they know rather than try to experiment too much. And Yes, there is a nerf for the heat ejector, but it's 740 to 600. It's still going to have damage over time, so you got to be careful about that. Buster is going to be coming out along with the Poco. So one of the things which you notice is that Poco didn't get a nerf, right? So it's still going to be pretty potent. And the Buster nerf is just 400 HP. So I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make for Buster. But I think I like this Reverso draft quite a lot. Let's see what Ping Abusers bring for their last pick here.
I do like this Reverso draft quite a fair bit. I feel like the Buster nerf isn't really anything to write home about. Obviously, a little bit of HP loss isn't going to help him or anything, but either way, he still has his shield. He still has his hypercharge remaining untouched, so he should still be pretty good. Ping Abusers are going to bring out the Dynamite with the last pick, which is a brawler that we saw in Brawl Ball yesterday. He was able to be pretty dominant if you're able to land those shots, but obviously at the pro level, it's going to be the most accurate players, so hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit of Mike popping off right here. I'm excited to see this comp from the side of Ping Abusers. I feel like we've got pretty fun comps on both sides. I do think that the Finks is going to be kind of the player to watch right here. If he's able to use his super to kind of neutralize those Dynamite supers and hypercharges, that could be very good, but we are getting into our first game of the day, guys. We have Ping Abusers in blue versus Reverso in red as we get into this game, Panda.
Indeed, and already we see a lot of control coming from Reverso. They're still using that HP, and Rage is in a good position, possibly make a goal. He's going to go for the pull. He does manage to get this one in. That's crazy, Reverso already with a goal off the bat.
That was a fantastic goal. You could see the heals coming in so clutch from the Poco there, and Enraged was able to use his gadget to get the free goal, but we see a stun come out from Copy. He's going to be able to get that kill right there. So Ping Abuser should be taking pretty decent control of the mid. Nez is going to be trying to stall for as long as he can with his Fink super right there, speeding up his shot so much and slowing down the opposing enemies right there. But we are going to see it looks like Ping Abusers is moving up as of right now. Yannick does have his bow hypercharge online, so waiting to see where he's going to choose to put those 5 mines. But we are still fighting for a little bit of control in the mid, and Rage is going quite weak right here, likely going to die, but somehow he evades all of the fidget spinner right there. His shield comes up, and we're going to see all 3 members of Reverso trying to take back control of the mid.
Yeah, good cognizance from Gas to make sure that he's healing up his teammate. Nez goes down to Yannick, which is unfortunate there. It certainly seems to be a mine situation, but Yannick going down is going to be kind of bad for Ping Abusers. They do have a minute 13 to get an equalizer, but Reverso really isn't relenting here, though Copy is given a little bit of agency to move by himself, but gets taken out by Gas. So all in all, great spot from Reverso here.
And they are going to get the angle right there too, and Rage is able to slot it in for his second goal of the game. Overall, it looked like Copy kind of just went up a little bit too high by himself, trying to be the hero for his team, but he ended up getting caught out, leaving them open for the second Buster goal of the game. Overall, man, I feel like the Ping Abusers just kind of need to hold down their mid control. They cannot relent and give that mid control back to the Buster and the Poco, because if Buster gets an angle, that's pretty much a free goal. But we're going into game number 2. Same game plan coming out from Reverso. They are running up with the Buster and the Poco heals, but it's not going to be enough, and Rage is going to fall. And we're going to see Ping Abusers try to take a bit of control of the mid, but Gas is kind of pushing up, soloing on the right side of the map, and they're going to be able to make that a 2v2 for the time being.
Indeed, Nez has the ball. They're trying to make some kind of goal scoring opportunity materialize, but nothing so far. Super missed by Copy, and I feel like the goals which we saw from Reverso, the last 2 of them in the previous game, were mostly because Ping Abusers were caught napping, and that's what's happening right now. Yannick goes down, and A has the ball, but he is going to be taken down, and that is just Nez walking this one in. That's going to be Reverso taking the first goal here.
It seems like Reverso might just have a little bit too much HP for the side of Ping Abusers to be able to do much with. I'm intrigued why they went with the Dynamite class pick. Obviously, he has a good amount of damage output if he's able to land those shots, but so far they've been able to juke enough shots. Copy is able to kind of clean up here with the help of A, and it looks like they might be going up for a goal right here. Copy swings the ball up, and A is going to be able to slot it right in through Enraged face. So we are going to see the score tied up at 1-1. Reverso is not going to be able to go down like that all again. Otherwise, they will be conceding, but we see the Fink super come down on the right side, trying to maintain a little bit of control here, but A is using that to his advantage. Yannick is trying to hold it off against Nez. Nez is making a great push up on the right side, but we see those hypercharged bow mines. That should kind of give them a little bit of area to chill out for now.
Yeah, A's going to be moving up on this left-hand side. It's going to be putting Enraged in an awkward position. He still goes for that, and then now with the tailspin going on to Gas, Gas pops his hypercharge, able to get the kill on A as well. and a pretty good defensive strategy has evolved for Reverso, which is pretty good for them. But Enrage going down, not that great. Ooh, stun as well onto Nez. Gas as well stunned. This is a great opportunity for Ping Abusers to get a goal. Cappy has the broken walls, and that is an easy one to slot this one in. With that, Ping Abusers are able to reply to Reverso, one each.
That was a great reply right there. I think I might have to give the MVP of game 2 to the Bow Mines right there, honestly. Getting a double kill when it mattered the most and kind of allowing them to push up for a very, very free goal with the help of that Dynamite Super. But well played to Ping Abusers. They withstood the initial push of Reverso. Obviously, they are a little bit outclassed in terms of HP, so holding that position is going to be very good for them. As we go into game 3, both teams fighting for mid control right now. Copy already has a super online, but he is going to miss, and Enrage is falling quite weak. They definitely need Enrage to stay healthy if they're going to be able to go for a goal off rip here, but Ping Abusers are taking solid mid control, but Yannick is going to drop off the face of the earth right there.
Yeah, he over-aggressed just a little bit, and Nez was able to catch him out along with Enrage. There's going to be a nice kill coming from A onto Nez. And Copy, with his gadget and all of his shots, has been keeping the enemy at bay for a little bit. And Rage going in. He tries to get a saucy shot in, but it's not going to be a goal there for Reverso. And now we're going to see a counter-offensive being mounted by Ping Abusers.
Maybe a little bit rushed from the side of Reverso here. We see Ping Abusers with full mid control and the bow hypercharge mines going down on the top right side. And Rage is going to be doing what he can to try and disarm that, but he can't focus on that. His Copy is going to pop his hypercharge, clearing the way for Yannick to get a very free goal. So we see Ping Abusers has turned the tide of this game. They are up 1-0, only one goal away from taking set number 1, Panda.
Indeed, and I was talking about this. Yannick was telling me about how this is his favorite mode, but right now they're getting kind of rolled here as Gas has the ball and Rage going to go and get the kill onto Copy. Surely this one is a goal, and it is. Reverso with about 1:10 to spare have equalized here.
Very quick answer right there from the side of Reverso. They did a great job juking the dynamic shots, but can't say the same anymore as Gas does drop. A is going to be using his Carl hypercharge as well, trying to move up on that left side right here. Reverso is under heavy fire at the moment, and Yannick has bow mines online. Copy has Mike Super online. That is going to be missed though. So it looks like Reverso is going to be able to back themselves out of this corner with the help of a Buster hypercharge. And the positioning is looking like it's on the side of Reverso, but A is going to be able to slot it through with the help of the bow mine stun. And that is going to be Ping Abusers getting a cheeky win in set number 1. I have no idea how they both got hit by the bow mines right there, but A took advantage of the opportunity and slotted in that goal for a Ping Abuser set number 1 victory.
Beautiful stuff for Ping Abusers. And yeah, this is one set which Yannick said that they're pretty comfortable on. He said that he can possibly win it against most of the other teams. So it's not surprising that they have got that, but you know, good luck to them for continuing the success throughout the rest of this match here, because next up we're gonna go on Layer Cake. But what are your thoughts about this? Why do you think Reverso ended up taking the L here against Ping Abusers?
I think that the biggest issue is that they couldn't get out of the bow mines. There were so many bow mines on the field at the same time, and they just kind of lost track of where those mines were. They got caught out in the worst times, and when a player gets stunned, that makes it so easy to score on the remaining players right there. Dynamite's able to land easy shots onto any stunned players, and that just kind of cycles through his mines, or cycles through his bombs. He was able to get so many hypercharges Copy on Ping Abusers right there, and then I don't know, they were just able to withstand the pushes, the high HP of Reverso, and they were just able to use those stuns opportunistically to be able to get those goals there. Overall, super well played. Definitely expected Reverso to take it after the way that game number 1 went.
Yeah, and also one thing to note, which I guess we didn't really mention, is that Covers was the 3rd for Ping Abusers, and he's not playing today. I believe A has taken up the mantle for Ping Abusers, so that might be playing a little bit into how things are going. But I feel like, you know, they got the dub there. That's what matters. And maybe Layer Cake is going to be a little bit more difficult for them, because it does involve a lot of coordination. And some of the brawlers that we tend to see in Layer Cake are Ollie, Janet, Angelo, Hank, the Carl, and Buster. And I feel like I've mentioned all of these for the the nerfs that we got recently. So wouldn't be surprised to see the pick rates drop just a little bit. But like I said, it's still very early. We still are like super early in the meta, so don't expect very wild picks here. We're gonna go into our draft though, and we have our bans. They're gonna be Jean Grey, Lumi, Buster, Juju, and Meeple. First pick, wow, gonna be the Kit.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing a very aggressive brawler come through with that first pick. I'm a little bit surprised to see the cat coming out immediately. I guess with Ollie and Daryl still on the board, they're definitely going to be probably trying to pair that with the tanks later down the line in this draft. But overall, the cat is a brawler that doesn't do too much by itself. So I don't mind it as a first pick, but I feel like they definitely are going to have to be looking at other options to pair it up with later in the draft. For the side of ping abusers, though, they're going to have to make sure that they have a little bit of tank counter option, just kind of predicting that draft out into the future. And it looks like they have the same idea there. They are going to pick up a Lou as well as a Hank. I like both of these picks from the side of ping abusers. Lou, obviously, not your typical bounty brawler, but when the other team goes kit first pick, you have to prepare for the worst. You have to prepare for a tank. So I don't mind the Lou pick at all. Should be a pretty hard counter to any tank that Reverso is going to pull out. And then the Hank we have seen pretty much prevalent on every single map in this region. He's absolutely still a menace, even through a couple of balance changes. But overall, I think that the Hank should be pretty solid. He is a pretty good counter to a lot of other tanks that the cat would pair up well with. So I like that 2-3 from ping abusers. Curious what tank Reverso is going to choose to pair the cat with.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the best tank's already been taken. Buster's already been banned out, and the best answer to Buster is the Hank, and the Hank has been taken from Reverso, along with the fact that the Lou's on the other side. So yeah, we're gonna have Reverso going for Angelo and the Carl. Both of these brawlers notably have been nerfed, but I feel like the other tank option that the kit can jump on is obviously the Carl here. We might just see the kit being used more of an assassin than just to support, just to get those cheeky kills. And ping abusers go for Ollie, so they've completely, I guess, isolated Kit. I don't think Kit's going to be as impactful in this game.
Yeah, I really don't think so either. I mean, she's going to have to jump onto the Carl's back to really have any effect right there, but overall, like, if you jump on the Hank, that's not going to be a confirmed kill. If you jump on the Ollie, he might even jump out, so that's not going to be a confirmed kill. It's going to be a little bit tough for the cat to be too useful here. I like the draft from ping abusers, kind of knowing that the cat needs like those lower HP targets to be able to have a great impact. So adding the Ollie and the Hank definitely gives them a lot of HP and a lot of pressure to kind of be able to blast through that. So I like this draft, but we're going into set number 2, ping abusers up 1-0 as we fight for the blue star. It looks like Enraged is going to be able to capitalize on that with his Angela jump.
Indeed, already a pretty great start coming in. Ooh, nice. Gas goes in so aggressively, gets a kill on a copy as well with a 1-2-3. So that's a great start, but he's going to be taken out. I'm not exactly sure what the end game was there, retreating all the way back to there. The other team spawn, yeah, it gets taken out as well. So great start coming in from Reverso.
Yep, and Reverso is up by 2 stars right now, and Rage is holding down this mid pretty much all by himself right there. He's landing some beautiful shots onto the side of ping abusers. The blue super comes down, but Gas is going to absolutely clean up. He's going to be able to dip out of there and jump onto the Carl as well. And Rage does get caught on the way out, but either way, Reverso comes out very much on top of that trade with a 6-star lead as of right now.
Indeed, we also have a hypercharge on the Carl. That's something to think about. And Rage is very aggressive in his positioning here, so I don't know if I agree with that. We see Reverso getting pushed all the way back to spawn here, especially the fact that they're facing down and Ollie not that good off a prop position. Gas is going to be there, just trying to get some moderating influence, and he jumps in. He's going to be taken out surely, but has, managed to get a trade here. This is exactly what a Reverso needed in this situation, but the lead is still only 3 stars.
Yeah, that was a pretty good star trade for ping abusers, but overall, Gas is just kind of on a tear. He knows that he's going to be getting traded out in most of these situations, but he does not mind. Yannick is going all the way up there too. And just like that, we see a ton of stars fall into the hands of Reverso. Very well played to them. They're going to take a 10-star victory in game number 1 of Bounty. That was a pretty hectic game overall. Gas was playing with reckless abandon on the kit right there, Panda.
Dude, I said that this is going to be a horrible game for Gas, and he just completely flipped that script. Wow, that was crazy. I think he got at least like 4 or 5 kills there, and that was awesome to watch. So amazing kick gameplay. Almost a clinic being brought out by Gas. We're going to go into game number 2 of the second set. Ping abusers took the first set. Reverso took the first game of this set. See how this one pans out, Duncan.
Yep, we've got our blue star going to the side of Reverso, but we already know that's not going to be the determining factor as Gas goes in for a double kill. He knows he's going to get traded out, but he does not mind. If he's going to be able to get 2 kills, that is going to be perfectly acceptable for him. Reverso is going to be retreating with a 2-star lead as of right now. And we see Ping Abusers trying to push up. Yannick does have his Ollie super over on the right, but once again, Gas is going to just continue cycling out these kills and deaths. He does not care if he goes down. Yannick is going up, trying to take out Enraged, but it looks like he's going to have to dip out right there. Probably a good decision. He was not going to be able to out damage the healing that comes in from that Angelo super. So we see a 1-star sitting on the side of a 1-star lead sitting on the side of Reverso as they retreat back into their own spawn.
Wow, so aggressive. Gas goes in once more. This time he's going to be taken out. There is a trade, but it's going to favor, actually, Ping Abusers as they have taken out the opposition. They have a 1-star lead here. So it's going to come down to this next 50 seconds.
Yep, for the first time, we do see Ping Abusers with the lead retreating into the back of their own spawn right here. Gas has his super online, Enraged has his Angelo hypercharge, as well as Nez having his Carl hypercharge. So lots of utility for Reverso here. Ping Abusers are going to be playing that loose super to try and buy themselves a little bit more time, but as we already knew, Gas does not care. He is going to go in for the trade right there. We still see a 1-star lead on the side of Ping Abusers. Yannick has to be very careful here because although he is probably their best aggressive brawler right here, he does have 5 stars. If he goes down, that's going to be a hard difference to make up in the end of this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, with their composition, they have to play it very, very passively. Oh, big hypercharge being popped out. Yannick gets killed on a Gas, despite the fact that Gas jumps on him. Nez goes down as well, and Ray's the only one alive. He knows it's over, and that's going to be Ping Abusers taking their first win in this set. Going to be equalized at 1 apiece. Wow, that's crazy.
That was well played by Ping Abusers to bounce back. They aren't going to let Gas's aggression get into their heads. They know that if they keep on trading out at the end of the day, they will end up with that lead at some point. So very well played to them, keeping their heads composed right there, getting that lead and then retreating back into the spawn. They have a really tough comp to push into with the Lou having those supers online, with the Hank being just a very hard brawler to push into in general. But we're seeing game 3 start here. Copy is on fire, and Gas is getting right back to work. Is he going to be able to juke out of those shots? Very well played by Gas, hitting the wiggle stick to be able to survive that. We're going to see Reverso with a 3-0 lead off rip here.
Indeed, the French squad doing an amazing job here, and it's going to be a 3-star lead, but Gas is going to go aggressively. He gets killed on an A. He's going to be taken out surely. Ooh, big super coming in from Yannick. He tries to get the hypnosis, but the super being brought out by the Carl just to avoid any shenanigans on the other side.
Yep, this is a crazy game so far. We see Nez get that Carl super down there, but I just can't take my eyes off Gas, man. He is playing this cat like an absolute menace, bro. Reckless abandon on the kit today, and I just love to see it. I can't wait to see who he jumps on next. But we see Enraged has his Angelo super up here. Not really anything Ping Abusers want to push into. Reverso is kind of back in their spawn. Another Carl gadget comes out, though, so going to be difficult to push into once again. Trying to heal back up to their full health. Yannick is in a power position on that top right. He jumps, Gas jumps. Both of them are going to be able to get those kills. So we see a trade come out. Reverso's still up by 1 star. Yannick's going to be trying to get out of here with his life.
Ooh, nice jump from the Angelo to get out of that situation. Yannick goes down, Gas goes down as well. A's getting the kill on an Enraged. That's going to be huge. It gives them parity in terms of the star score, but obviously the blue star with Ping Abusers. 30 seconds left. Reverso have a way forward here to get a dub, and they need this because otherwise they're going to be down 2-0 here, Duncan.
Yep, they definitely need to get a good push going here. Gas has his super online, of course. Got to pick out his next target here. And Rage is pushing up. He lands a good shot onto Copy, but Yannick is going to be relieving a lot of that pressure. Here goes Gas, though. He pops the invisibility. He gets a couple shots onto the Hank, but it looks like they're probably both going to trade each other out. We still see Ping Abusers with the blue star lead, but it looks like Reverso is going to be able to secure that final kill, and Rage is going to somehow survive in the spawn.
Way.
That is absolutely crazy. I have no idea how Enraged didn't die to the Hank there. That is going to be a massive win for Reverso.
That was a steal. How did that happen? I thought it hit. That is such bad luck for Reverso. Oh my god.
I thought it hit too. I'm sure A is thinking the same exact thing right now, but somehow Enraged was able to survive completely in the opponent's spawn. I'm watching the replay right now. I don't understand how that Hank bubble didn't hit. As a personal player, as myself, I personally have a really hard time hitting those Hank shots. Even when it does look like it's going to hit, sometimes it simply doesn't. Looks like A ran into that same issue there. That was a crazy finish to the game, though. Well played by Reverso to even up our score at 1-1.
Yeah, we're trying to get back into the next game. Just waiting. I think that the spectator didn't realize it's tied at 1 apiece. Just letting production know.
That was crazy stuff, dude. That was crazy stuff. Oh, I need more of that Gas kit play.
Yeah, it's just trying to get word from production about what's happening.
Was that game 3?
I thought that that was one each. I think we're gonna go into game 3, right?
Trying to check back.
No, that was game 3. That was game 3. That was game 3. Okay.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, yeah. Oh, good. There's that. Yeah, that was game 3. We're tied up at 1 set apiece, so we'll be going into set number 3 then, which is going to be on Gold Arm Gulch. Am I correct?
I guess, yeah, you're right. I guess we got so excited we wanted more games of it. That's probably what happened. Sorry about that, chat. We're gonna go into Gold Arm Gulch, which is gonna be the next set here. Apologies for the confusion.
We did want more gas on the cat right there. Maybe we'll get to see gas on the cat again in Gold Arm Gulch, though. We've got our bans pulled up here. It's tied up 1 apiece right now, but we have Pink Abusers banning out the Gray Cat and the Ollie, so they are not going for any more of that cat gameplay. Reverso is going to have the Gene, Lumi, and Tick banned out. We see first pick coming out. It is going to be Angelo, so it seems like even with that gadget charge, with that gadget recharge nerf, Angelo is still definitely very solidly in the in the knockout, in the bounty meta. Seems like people aren't too worried about a little bit of extra time for those gadgets to come back in. So Angelo is going to be the first pick of the draft. There are still a lot of other snipers on the board that Reverso could go with, as well as Hank has not been banned out, so wouldn't be shocked to see that. But we're going to see them go with a tank in the Buster and then pairing that up with a little bit of the speed coming in from the Max. So pretty versatile 2-3 right there. Ping Abusers are going for a Daryl and a Grom to finish out their comp. Not something you see too often with the Grom here, but I don't mind it at all. And then the Daryl is a very, very solid knockout tank right there. Good counter into the Buster as well. So I like the picks coming in from Ping Abusers. What do you think about this draft so far, Panda?
I like the Ping Abusers draft. They have almost all their bases covered, but I'm still afraid because Reverso do have so much of aggression, and they've doubled down on that with the Lily. So I feel like if you're Grom, you're gonna have a very interesting game. You're either gonna hit like a bunch of shots or hit nothing and get caught by the Lily. So I would be afraid if I'm Ping Abusers, because that Lily pick is something which can address both the Angelo and the Grom, but only if you have all of that max speed coming in. I feel like Lily's is going to be a huge threat.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Grom in the place that Ping Abusers picked it. I feel like that's something you can't really go for unless the other team already has a thrower, or if you have the last pick yourself. But overall, I have a hard time seeing what Grom's going to be able to do into Buster and Lily, but we are going live into set number 3 right here. We see Reverso occupying the left lane, Ping Abusers occupying the right lane, and they're just going to be trying to charge their supers for the beginning of this game right now. Gas is taking some heavy fire right now. He's going to have to back off pretty hard. If Copy's able to hit one of these shots, they might be able to confirm a kill. But overall, it looks like all of the aggression of Ping Abusers is kind of going to be for nothing. Both teams are kind of falling back right now.
Indeed, it's a little bit of a stalemate here, but Gas dodging these Grom shots quite effectively here. He gets hit quite a lot, but uses the gadget to get out of that situation where he might have been taken out by Yannick. Big Grom bomb coming in on the left-hand side. Not going to find too much of value. Super coming in from A. He's going to go in, but he's going to be removed from the equation. Gas getting the kill there. He can just pick it up the slack for his teammate as Nez gets the kill on a copy. And Yannick is going to be the last one alive. He knows he's basically going to be put 6 feet under. It is basically all she wrote. First round going to Reverso in a very comfortable manner.
That was very well played by Gas to save his teammate on the Buster right there. He was definitely going to die to the Daryl if he didn't step in there. So good team plays, good communication to be able to keep their whole squad alive. Going into round number 2, though, both teams are going to be occupying the right lane for now. Gas is going to have to go into the Shadow Realm for the time being. But we do see Ping Abusers are pretty trapped back in their spawn right now. None of them have supers online as well. So this is fantastic positioning from the side of Reverso. And Rage using that shield to try to get up, and the Lily's going to go in. It's going to all be for nothing, though. Tried to bite off a little bit more than she could chew right there. And that is going to be a 2v3 for the side of Ping Abusers. Going to be a little bit tough for Reverso to come out on top of this here.
Yeah, and Rage going to go down, and now it's just going to be Nez, the last person in Reverso. Not really the best situation for him to be in here. I don't think it's remotely possible as this round is definitely going for Ping Abusers. Very well played by Ping Abusers. I feel like it's more an error on Gas's part. I think he went in a bit too aggressively. Probably should have noticed that he was taking a little bit too much damage by the Grom. Anyway, this round is going to go for Ping Abusers. Let's see how this next one does figure.
I have to assume we'll see Gas playing a little bit more passive. Probably won't try the 3v1 with the Lily again, but Enrage is going to be popping the shield. Nez gives the max speed as well, so they're all going to be running in here. Gas has the speed still in the Shadow Realm right there, and he's barely not going to be able to kill Copy right there. So somehow Ping Abuser survives that assault there. All three members of both teams are going to be surviving as they regroup here, try to get some more supers online.
Copy has no business being alive there.
Yeah.
He's also going to sauce out the spray. A lot of clown fits coming in. These guys are just having a lot of fun here, it seems.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of trolling on both sides here. That's going to be a good Grom super there. He's actually going to be able to take out Gas somehow. So we have a 2v3 favoring the side of Ping Abusers right here. A has his Daryl hypercharge as well. He's going to be rolling in on the Buster. And oh my goodness, look at him bounce back and forth between those walls right there. And his teammates clean up the max. So that's going to be a round win for Ping Abusers right here. Going up 1-0 in our knockout set, Panda.
Yeah, they played it really well. I mean, all things considered, I thought that the draft was going to favor Reverso. I just really believed in Gas and the Lily, but I feel like maybe I've had a little bit too much copium. We're going to go in a game number 2 in this third set here. Ping Abusers took the first one, Duncan.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised how effective Copy has been on this Grom. I feel like he definitely is outcomped as far as his matchups go. Doesn't really have a single good matchup on the board right here, but he's doing his best. He's staying alive, and right now we're going to see Ping Abusers on the right side. Try to keep Gas away, make sure he doesn't go for any of these crazy plays right here. Nobody is sitting with the Buster to charge up his super as of right now, so it looks like Enraged might not have any supercharge going into the end of this game, but maybe they'll start bringing that out soon. We see the Clown Sprays come down, but A is going to go in, trying to 3v1. He decides better of it and is going to dip out, and we are going to see all three players from both teams as they kind of regroup over here. Gas is trying to sneak onto the right side. Maybe he'll go for a play on the Yannick.
Indeed. I think this is a very scary proposition for Ping Abusers. The smoke is going to start billowing in, which is going to be a big hazard. There is also super for Enrage, so these are a lot of things that they have to keep track of here. And the Grom Bomb isn't yet online here. Gas should be able to go in. He has gone into the hot zone here. Sorry, into the Demon Realm here. Big supers coming in. A gets a kill on an Enrage. Now A goes down himself. It's going to be double kills coming in from Reverso, and they take that round.
After missing the super, Gas was somehow able to get another super back, and that could not have came at a better time. I think that Grom Bomb from Copy would have been all she wrote right there, would have wiped the entire team. So well played by Reverso to get them out of the way before that bomb hit. But now we're going to see some aggression coming out from the side of Reverso. The max speed already online. Buster has a hypercharge ready to go as well, but Gas has no super right here. We see Ping Abusers kind of rotating back over to the left side, trying to get Nez out of their area, but they are going to be taking significant damage. A goes in for a kill here, and he has no super to get out of the situation. Oh. He's super weak, but somehow gets out of there with his life. Definitely a little bit lucky on the side of A right there, but all three players from both teams somehow still alive after all of this action.
I mean, he shouldn't have been given the license to stay alive. That's, I feel like, a big error from Reverso there. Grom Bomb should be online pretty soon here. Gassel has his super. He's been flashing that for the last 2 minutes, but I haven't seen any impactful plays being made by Gas just yet. And Rage going in with his super. Big hypercharge super coming in from Max as well. Uses the phase shifter. Doesn't really get all much value from that. It goes in just to add a little bit of chaos and anarchy. Supercharge, hypercharge coming in from Enrage. Gas gets the kill on a Copy. And Enrage is going to be up against Yannick. Gets the kill on a Yannick as well. A is the last one alive. He gets taken out, and Reverso are able to equalize this at 1 apiece.
Yeah, it looked like A missed his Daryl roll right there. He had a chance to be able to get 1 or 2 of the opponents down, but his roll bumped into the wall. That was a massive, massive mistake on the side of Ping Abusers right there. Super unfortunate for them, but it's nothing that they can't make up for in game number 3 of Knockout right here. We have had some back and forth action today. Nobody's been able to sweep a set so far, so maybe we'll see that going forward, but either way, we see Reverso pushing up on this left side right now. Ping Abusers going to be occupying the right side as they try to charge up their supers in the beginning of this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult being down 2-1, so both these teams are going to be desperate for this win, because if you're down 2-1, you have to win the next 2 sets to be able to get the dub, right? So obviously you don't want that situation to happen. You want to be out in front, so let's see how this one does pan out for the teams. As Gas has his super here, Duncan.
Yep, Gas has his super, Enraged has his shield ready to go as well, but Ping Abusers are not conceding any of the space here. They are pressing over quite heavily there, Enraged is going to be super weak. He goes down. Good communication and teamwork from Ping Abusers right there. Gas has to pop a gadget to get out of that situation.
Oh, no.
He's still going to be weak, though. Copy's able to get the kill, and that's going to be a 3v1. Nez is likely going to go down as well, and that is round 1 falling a little bit quicker for Ping Abusers than we've seen in the past rounds.
For sure, and I feel like the Grom was a big problem this last round. We just saw him hitting shots incessantly, one after the other, and understanding which moment to really go in. Once more, the Grom bomb comes down and gas is out.
Wow, that's crazy. The player that we expected the least from here, Grom, has been able to absolutely clean up in game number 3 after not doing a whole lot for the first 2. A is going to be able to roll in here with the Daryl hypercharge, and just like that, that's going to be a 3v1, and Rage is going to do all he can, but more than likely, that's going to be set number 3 going to the side of Ping Abusers. Either way, Copy's doing all he can to stay alive. It's not going to be enough from Enraged. A valiant effort with the 1v3 right there, but that's going to be Ping Abusers picking up our knockout set and taking a 2-1 lead.
The reason I was laughing is because at the end, Enraged U was basically done. He popped his hypercharge to start chasing after Copy, and Copy still survived despite all of that. And I felt like that was emblematic of the entirety of the set. There were many times where Copy was just allowed to stay alive when he probably shouldn't. But, you know, I think Ping Abusers are going to be taking that. They're happy with that, how that turned out. I think, it's going to give them confidence going into set number 4, which is Ring of Fire. And I think that requires a lot of communication, but I feel like for Reverso, they've taken these super aggressive compositions, especially ones which enable Gas to do all sorts of crazy things, but it hasn't been paying them dividends. So they need to assess how they go about drafting this one as we go into Ring of Fire.
Yeah, I like the idea of them going with these aggro comps, but this is a team that hasn't been able to play together too much with their new roster here, so maybe the communication's just a little bit off as of right now. When Gas goes in, he's going to need a little bit of backup in order to secure some of those kills and get him out safely, so maybe they'll be kind of hitting their stride as we go into set 4, but I'm excited for Ring of Fire. Panda, we have not seen any of these brawlers that got balance changes really be affected much in the meta so far. None of these buffed brawlers have been picked yet, and then all of these nerfed brawlers are still getting picked, like Angelo. So hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more action here. I'm looking forward. Maybe we'll see a Meg come on display in the Ring of Fire set. That's definitely a map that she can kind of thrive on. But overall, I think that this is going to be a very, very hard test for Reverso. They're looking to get their first win of the tournament, and they've got to step up to the plate now. It's now or never.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is, at least like from what we saw in the last 2 sets, is that brawlers that have had just the gadget nerfs, where it's just the cooldown nerf or maybe a little bit of damage nerf, like for the Carl, hasn't been as impactful because the entirety of the kit of the brawler has been centralizing, right? So I don't know if you're not going to see as much of Ollie or not going to see as much of Buster, because for their specific role, they still satisfy that specific niche very well. So I don't expect some of these nerfs to completely remove a brawler from the meta, which actually is probably a good thing, because you're gonna give more viability to some of the other brawlers while still maintaining the fact that these brawlers still satisfy the niche that they're in. For example, Buster or Ollie being tanks and like an answer to a tank.
Yep, 100%. I'm definitely not too surprised that some of these nerfed brawlers are still in the meta. I just want to see some of these buffed brawlers get a chance to shine. Maybe we'll get to see a Bonnie. It seems a little bit unlikely, but I've seen a lot of Bonnie glaze online, so I'm still holding out hope right there. But either way, in Ring of Fire, probably not that likely. We're going into the draft right here, though, guys. We have Reverso Gaming down 1-2 right now. Ping Abusers looking to get their second win of the league play. But we have Lou banned, Lumi as well as Poco, and then Hank and Gray fill out our 5 bans here. Poco gets banned by both teams. So we're going to be seeing who comes off the board here. B is definitely a brawler I've got my eye on, as well as Bo. Those are 2 brawlers that are fantastic for kind of sitting in the mid and holding control of that zone, especially with the Bo mines. It's just absolutely so menacing right there. Very difficult to deal with, but we're going to see Reverso going with a little bit of a strange pick right here. Not something we see too often, especially considering his gadget was nerfed, but they pick up the Byron. Ping Abusers grab a Stu as well as a Bo. And honestly, Panda, so far, I'm really liking this Ping Abusers draft quite a fair bit better than the Byron.
Yeah, I mean, Stu's also got nerfed, but I feel like Stu can still hold his own. There are different reasons why you want the Stu, right? The speed zone is going to let your teammates to get back on the zone really fast. Byron has gotten nerfed, and I feel like that specific gadget plays a big role on a map like this one. So I don't know if that is possibly the best pick. We have an 8-bit. We haven't seen an 8-bit for a while, but we have an 8-bit here along with the Angelo. And I'm interested to see how this one does play out. I feel like the 8-bit's going to be having a little bit of a difficult time against the Bull because of the slow speed that it moves with. And obviously, once the mines go down, it's going to be a little bit of a sit and duck on the map. So interesting picks coming in from Reverso Gaming here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit intrigued. I mean, I feel like clearly they wanted to pair that 8-bit up with the Byron, but if the 8-bit's rocking with the extra damage star power, he's going to have a very difficult time getting out of the bow mines. We see ping abusers adding a squeak to their comp as well, which can definitely be pretty impactful with the extra range, extra damage gadget. That can definitely take out the 8-bit turret very, very quickly. So I feel like that's kind of why ping abusers adds that. Overall, it seems like Reverso is kind of putting all their eggs in the 8-bit basket here. They're going to be trying to heal him up as much as possible and keep him on the zone with that high amount of HP. But the bow mines, I feel like, are going to be quite a significant counter. And I definitely think that the bow is going to be the brawler to watch as we hop into set number 4 here.
Yeah, that's completely true. But I'm still interested to see how this one does play out. We go in a game number 1 of set number 4 between Ping Abusers and Reverso Gaming. Ping Abusers took 2 sets. Reverso took 1. Right now, Ping Abusers trying to close this one out, but Reverso still trying to stay in this tournament.
Yep, and we're going to see the zone percentage is definitely going to be on the side of ping abusers as of right now. Bo is able to survive with a very, very tiny amount of HP, and we do get our answer to what star power the 8-bit's going to have, and it's not going to be helping him out a whole lot there, but he is going to have the extra damage for himself and his teammates, so maybe that'll come in handy down the road. But as of right now, it is just going to be the Angelo sitting on the zone as they try to get this lead back down. We have both teams approaching 20% on the zone, and Rage is holding it down extremely well as of right now, and A is taking significant damage. Yannick is trying to dance around, do as much as he can, but they're going to be quite weak, and it looks like Reverso is probably going to be able to get a little bit more zone time here as we move into the middle part of the game.
Yeah, I do like the squeak. It takes out the turret, and he's just doing a good job of trying to take out the turret across the map whenever he does go there. Nez, not sure why he teleported right into the turret. Maybe that allowed him to stay alive. I'm not sure about that, but right now it is a very even game in terms of possession. But with the kill onto Yannick, Reverso have control of this mid, but ooh, mines come online.
Yeah, the bow mines are doing all they can right here, but overall, Reverso just has the range advantage. Yannick is not able to get any supers here. We finally see the bow hypercharge come onto the field right there, and Rage is going to do all he can to pop these mines so that Nez doesn't have to. Nez is going to struggle quite a fair bit here. As he walks back into they disengage the last two, he teleports back, but a squeak hypercharge is going to get a ton of damage right there. All 3 members of Reverso are quite weak as Ping Abusers retakes control of this mid, and they're likely going to be able to even up the scoreline here.
Yeah, that squeak hypercharge hit all 3 members of Reverso and pushed them back, and I think that is going to give Ping Abusers quite a bit of a lead here. They have control of this mid as well. Gas is trying to put his Chug, and Rage gets the kill on Yannick, and that's going to be huge. Hypercharge popped by Enrage. He's trying to find some value here. Can he get his super? He does manage to get his super in time. Gets a kill onto A as well. Still very much alive, but is kind of low here. It is 89 and 69%, favoring Ping Abusers, and they only need 6%.
And Rage is doing all he can to try to keep them off this zone, but only 5% more remaining. If Nez goes down here, I think that's more than likely going to be game. It is all up to Gas to try to hold them off this zone, but A has his hypercharge. He's going to be able to speed onto the zone and finish off that. So we have Ping Abusers pushing Reverso to match point right now. They're already up 2-1. They have a 1-0 set lead right here, so we're going to need to see some answers from the side of Reverso. Overall, though, it just seems like they didn't really have anything to be able to kind of sit on the zone the way that they needed to.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I mean, from Ping Abusers, they're doing such a great job, honestly. I feel like Reverso have great moments of control, but then it completely collapses in few plays, which Ping Abusers completely abuse. So, great spot from Ping Abusers here. In Rage going to be pretty low. Should be taken out, surely he does, but manages to find a trade right before being taken out onto A. And we have Yannick on the back lines going up against Nez, not doing really bad job here. He's doing a pretty stellar job of being a huge distraction, keeping Reverso out of this hot zone here, Duncan.
Yeah, Yannick is doing a fantastic job distracting them in the backlines. He finally goes down here, but his teammates weren't able to get a particularly large amount of zone time in while he was terrorizing them up there. They're only up 8%. We do see the 8-bit turret finally coming down here, but Enrage is just holding it down so well on this L wall right here. He's got his super right there. Copy's doing all he can to push him out there. The bow mines come through, and that is going to force a TP out from Nez, but Yannick is going to be trying to get back into the backlines to continue terrorizing them with the help of that squeak super. Barely Nez is able to survive. Not going to be for long, though. Gas's heals are not going to be able to survive forever. But overall, we do see Ping Abusers are going to take a little bit of a lead here. No supers really online for them, though. The bow mines have been disengaged, but Nez has his 8-bit turret with the hypercharge as well. It's going to be minorly annoying for them to deal with, but Copy should be able to get it down in due time. Yannick's hypercharge is going absolutely insane, too. He has done such a good job distracting this game.
really, honestly, he's done such a great job. Gets taken out almost immediately after glazing the dude. That is funny to me. But anyway, Enrage pops the super down, hypercharged by A, and they are able to disengage a lot of the mines already. It is a 20% disparity favoring the side of Ping Abusers, but Reversal are trying to get back on the point here, not able to do so with the kill on Inez. I feel like this 8-bit pick has not been working out for them because whenever he gets his turret, they almost always address it within a few seconds, Ping Abusers.
Absolutely, and the mines have definitely been a little bit of a struggle for him as well. He's had to use a ton of teleports to get out of those situations, but as of right now, Ping Abusers has full control of the zone. Enrage is going in with Hypercharge. They're trying to make their final push here with 3% remaining, but that is more than likely going to do it. A doesn't want to rush it though, so maybe there's still a chance here for Reverso. They cannot let Ping Abuser step foot back onto the zone. Yannick is kind of showing a little bit of BM. Copy is going to be able to finally finish that off, and that is going to be Ping Abusers taking a 3-1 victory over Reverso. Reverso falls to 0-5 throughout 5 days of league play. Ping Abusers goes up to 2-3, so well played by Ping Abusers, kind of putting themselves back on the map, saying we are not out of this tournament yet. Reverso, on the other hand, I think it's pretty safe to say that they're not making playoffs.
Yeah, I think Reverso is more or less out. I don't know mathematically if that is the case or not, but regardless, I'm going to say that Ping Abusers played this one really well. I kind of have become a fan of this team. It is not as big of a team in terms of reputation or whatever, but like coming in these third-party tournaments and beating a squad like Reverso Gaming is huge regardless. So congratulations to Ping Abusers. You deserved that victory. You guys played amazingly well. We're gonna go into the next match, but before that, what are your closing thoughts of Ping Abusers versus Reverso?
I gotta say, Ping Abusers definitely impressed me right there. I feel like they played very well. After a couple of hectic games to start off, they definitely were able to lock in very well. I feel like they kind of just won a lot of these games in the draft, though. And especially in that last set, I feel like they certainly outdrafted them. But overall, I feel like they played a little bit better together as a team. Maybe that's kind of just a sign of Reverso having a little bit of a newer roster, not really able to communicate as well as Ping Abusers. But either way, Ping Abusers definitely earned that win, and I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do tomorrow or in the next day of games.
Yeah, we're gonna take a small break, but there are some free gems on your screen, so make sure you guys scan your QR codes and get your gems. First to come is gonna get it. You snooze, you lose, and we will see you guys in 3 minutes. For chat, yes, it's the fastest person. It is first come, first serve. So it is one QR code, one link. You have to be really fast. So apologies if you didn't make it, but congratulations to whoever did get those gems. It was 50 gems. Yeah, but we're still on a little break. It's 50 gems. There are 6 QR codes throughout each of the match days. So I believe they happen at the start of the stream, at the end of the stream, and between each of the matches. So we still have opportunities. We still have a few more match days. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OWN Masters Valencia. It is match day number 5. We finished the first match of the day, which is Ping Abusers versus Reverso Gaming. Ping Abusers took that 3-1 in a very stylish and stellar manner. We're going to go into Inner Circle versus Reply Totem. I am your host, Panicast, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. And make sure you guys follow him on all of his social media. It's going to be at Duncan Brawl Stars on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. So make sure you follow him on all of these platforms. He's going to be streaming today, I believe, and he also has a lot of videos, daily content for ranked. So if you're interested in ranked and you want to see this guy's beautiful mug, make sure you subscribe to him.
Appreciate that, Panda. Yeah, man, we'll be testing out some of the new balance changes in the videos coming up this week. Since the pro players don't want to test out the new balance changes, they just want to go with what they've been known. I guess nobody wants to give us any Bonnie gameplay yet. Hopefully, I'm still holding out some hope for some Bonnie, Meg, or Miko, but either way, we're about to move into our game number 2 for today. Inner Circle versus Reply Totem. Both of these teams are sitting at 2-2 through 4 days of league play, Panda. What are you expecting from this matchup?
I feel like, you know, it could go either way, really, because of the inconsistency. I feel like inconsistency defines both of these teams. Despite Inner Circle's sweep by SK, they briefly outplayed the squad in purple while collapsing yesterday. Totem, it's a cleaner squad, yeah, you don't get that twisted, but it gets heavily punished for small mistakes that we've seen throughout the tournament. It's not just one team or the other. Whenever Totem makes a mistake, other teams are able to capitalize in a big manner, which gives them wins. So Totem needs to clear that up. And yesterday's match against Humble was a big coin toss, obviously, because it does become like that at this level, right? But it just goes to show how close these games can be. I mean, a lot of people have written off Reply Totem, but to make the game so close with Humble was basically a testament to the skills that Reply Totem have. I'm confident that Totem can get the dub here, but, you know, their unpredictability is something that gives me a little bit of pause here, Duncan.
I agree with that, but I think everything you just said about Totem, you could probably translate to Inner Circle as well. I feel like these are two teams with very high highs and very low lows, so I'm curious which team's going to show up to play today. This is going to be a pretty impactful game, though, with both teams sitting at 2-2. Moving up to 3-2 would just be so impactful for making that top 4 when our days of league play are all said and done. So definitely looking forward to see which team is going to be able to lock in a little bit harder today. Overall, though, I'm looking forward to these maps too, especially starting off with Pit Stop. It's going to be quite hectic, and as I say that, here we go into our first draft of the day. We see the bans come through. It's going to be Melody, Barry, Cordelius, Spike, Miko, and Charlie. So although we don't see Miko get picked, we do see him get banned out. Reply Totem, even with the Lumi nerf, is still going to be locking that in with the first pick, and honestly, I can't hate. She is still a very, very broken brawler, Panda.
Yeah, I think that she's still going to be a good one, especially on maps like this where you have a lot of walls. I feel like Lumi's going to be great for bursting down like tanks and whatnot. So I think it makes sense that it's going to be brought out. Carl's going to be brought out by Inner Circle along with the Buzz. Both of these picks make a lot of sense to me. I feel like Carl can still burst down the safe. Is good for a lot of control around the lanes because of the way you can angle the pickaxe. Reply Totem going to go for a little bit more guaranteed damage on the objective in the form of the bull. I like that. A lot of defense in the form of the Griff with the cashback. I think they have guaranteed damage on the objective. They have guaranteed defensive capabilities as well. This is a well-rounded draft coming in from Totem.
I do like the Bull pick a lot. Buzz tends to do very well into a couple of the tanks that are more meta and heist, but Bull, on the other hand, if the Buzz blasts into his face and gets that stun off, he's usually going to be able to burst through the Buzz pretty quickly afterwards. So I think that Bull could be very good for getting onto the safe, for dealing with the Buzz and the Carl well. We see Inner Circle going a little bit more defensive with their last pick. They feel comfortable with the damage that Carl and Buzz have to offer, so they'll probably have that Lou playing a little bit more defensively onto the Bull specifically. But overall, as far as these comps go, I think I do slightly favor Reply Totem, but it will be interesting to see if Lumi's going to be a little bit weaker with these balance changes, Lav.
Yeah, that is interesting to see, right? Also, the fact that Lewis picked up was because of Cordelius and Charlie being banned out. I feel like those two brawlers are probably the best to take out oppositions which burst down your safe. So this Lou seems to satisfy a similar objective here. We go into first game of the match between Inner Circle and Reply Totem. Trade come in. Mori is going to go down as his knob here. Angel Boy is almost slowed down all the way here, and a pretty good defensive effort from Inner Circle here. Nice stuns from Knob. They dispatch Angel Boy, and it is a 4% lead for Totem at the start.
Yep, not much damage on the safe to speak of so far. We're going to see Knob trying to move up there, but he does take a Lumi stun to the face. Mebius does get a very good fire gadget down, though. Rama somehow survives on 51 HP, and he's going to need all 51 of those HP if he wants to deal with Angel Boy there. But he cleans up quickly, and we are going to see Inner Circle take a very slight damage lead at the beginning of this game. But overall, this has been a very defensively focused game so far. But Knob has that hypercharge online, opting not to use it yet. He's going to clean up more even without it, and we are back into a 2v2. These teams both fighting for mid control. Nobody's really been able to get a free run onto the safe yet.
Yeah, I see a lot of the wall breaks coming in from Maru with his piggy bank, and I don't know if that's the best decision, but maybe it is. They want to address the Buzz, and Buzz does go down. Angel Boy is going to be pretty low. Nice stuns as well, and Mebius, they're able to get the kill, and now Mori should be able to get onto the safe and get a lot more safe damage in. Hypercharge coming in. Mori gets stunned here. Angel Boy going to go in with the safe with the Energizer there, but he's going to be taken out as well, and it is a 14% lead for Reply Totem, so despite all that effort, not all that much here.
Not all that much at all, but Mebius somehow misses the fire onto the safe. You see it's not able to be lit on fire with the gadget there, so maybe a crucial mistake right there. It seems like every percent is going to matter when we come down to the end of this game. Angel Boy gets slowed. Knob is able to pick up a kill, though, in his absence right there, and we're going to see Knob facing some heavy scrutiny from the Lumi right now. He misses his hook onto Angel Boy, so Angel Boy with this hypercharge super ready to go is waiting for an opportunity to dive in. Rama's going to have to do all he can on the defensive end to keep him away from this. Knob is just getting double teamed right here. Not anything he can do about it. And we do see the blue safe fall below 50%. So it looks like Angel Boy was able to get a pretty significant amount of damage there. We're going to need to see Inner Circle push up pretty soon there, but that is the great way to start the push.
Yeah, and Knob going in, he's going to get a little bit more damage. Mori's going to be there for defensive capabilities, as is Maru. There's still going to be a 4% lead, but none of the members of IC in a place where they can get any damage on the Totem safe.
Yep, we're going to see Totem take that away. Even if they were able to get up to the safe, that would have hit that 50% shield threshold, and that would have kind of stalled them enough time to be able to secure the win either way. So we see Totem taking the initial game right there. I got to say, Angel Boy played it really well, waiting for the Lou super to be used on the Lumi before going in when he got his most significant damage. So really well played as far as the timing goes from Totem, and just a pretty clean set, a pretty clean game overall from them so far. We're going to have to see a little bit more aggression coming in from Knob on the Buzz, I have to imagine here. Feel like they definitely need a little bit more safe damage if they're going to get away with this. As we go into set number 2, Angel Boy's pushing up into a 2v1 on the left side of the map. Mebius pushing into a 2v1 on the right side of the map. A little bit laggy on the gameplay right here, but Angel Boy's going to be trying to wiggle Rama. Not really going to be able to get away with it. He's going to be cleaned up quickly, but Maru is there to get some more damage onto the safe.
Lots of damage coming in from Knob and Mebius here, but they get dispatched and they have the lead, but it's very slow. It's very little, sorry. It's 5% only.
Yep, not a whole lot to speak of right now. Maru is a little bit trapped over on the right side here. Angel Boy's going to be able to knock away Nob, though. He's going to clean up Mebius as well. And we see all three members of Reply Totem onto the safe. One of them is going to be dealt with, but Mari is still alive. Angel Boy is still alive. They get it below 25%. And this is looking like a very clean win for Totem so far, but not if Nob has anything to say about it. They're going to be able to tie it up right here. Angel Boy has his super, and Totem's probably going to be looking to make a game-winning push right here as we go into the end of the game.
Yeah, both of the safes are done with their invincibility frame, so now it's just going to be out and out burst for the last bit. Big gadget being popped by Lumi there. Nob gets taken down. Mario is also going to be down as well. Angel Boy is the last one. Ooh, nice super from Mori to cap this one off and give Reply Totem the dub there. They're going to win this game and win the first set as well.
Angel Boy played so well on the bull there. We saw multiple times Nob trying to super and getting knocked out of his buzz hook by the bull dash right there. So super well played there. He cleared up so much space for his team, demanding all of Rama's attention and allowing his Griff to be able to get a ton of safe damage that game. So overall, I gotta say, Angel Boy definitely played the objective extremely well right there. Totem just had a little bit cleaner plays as a team, although Pit Stop is quite a hectic map. It seemed like their communication was on point, and that led to them getting that first win.
Indeed, and we're gonna go in a super beach, but just talking about how Totem were playing that, they play it pretty clean. I gotta say, I wouldn't say Inner Circle played badly by any means, but I think that there were moments where you saw them going in on the safe right before the invincible threshold, I'd say, and they kind of died while waiting for the invincibility to go down. That happened a few times. I feel like this is going to be changing how a lot of heist matches are played, in terms of when to go in and when to go out, when to pepper the safe a little bit. And, you know, that is certainly going to be a new strategy in the heist, because you can't just dive on the safe, which we've been doing for the past 7 years now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to change the way that pro players approach this. I feel like the change in and of itself is somewhat of a nerf to some of these dive brawlers like the Bull, like the Buzz, like Melody and stuff like that, that just kind of gets onto the safe and tries to do as much damage in a single push as possible. It's going to kind of stall them out. It's going to knock them away from the safe. It's going to waste their time. And especially when you're using like a hypercharge, it's going to kind of waste that as well. So maybe we'll see the heist meta start to shift in general a little bit away from some of these dive brawlers, maybe more towards the favor of brawlers like Cole or Angela that can kind of pepper the safe from a distance. But we're going to have to see. We are still very early into this new heist meta with the shield thresholds being implemented into the game. So pros are still trying to adapt. Regular players are still trying to adapt as well. But especially on a map like Pit Stop, I feel like it's so impactful since those dive brawlers are so meta.
Indeed. And if you're a content creator right now who likes to make content about strategies, maybe making some content related to specifically how to play the new heist game mode might be something which is very important for the community. So that's an idea for you if you're interested in something like that. We're gonna go into Super Beach next, and our draft is in. We have our bans. They're gonna be B, Lumi, Lu, Barley, Juju, and the Larry and Lori. And first pick from Totem gonna be the Willow, which is a new brawler. I mean, not a new brawler, which is a brawler which recently got a buff here. And I believe the buff is to its HP, so it has 600 more HP. I feel like Totem are just trying to see if this is going to be viable for them, especially with the fact that they've banned out all of the other good throwers on this map.
It looks like they were looking forward to this Willow buff, and they banned all the other throwers except for pretty much Dynamite is the only Brawl Ball meta thrower that didn't get banned out here. So they were definitely had their eyes on the Willow there. They did secure it. Inner Circle is not going to be phased by that though. They hop on Stu. They hop on Jackie as well. I can definitely see the Willow being quite effective into the Jackie here. It looks like Inner Circle is maybe not putting enough respect on the Willow's name. They're still going to try to run her down, but I'm very excited to see one of these recently buffed brawlers finally make our way into a draft here. I'm excited to see what Reply Totem is going to pair this up with. Although Willow is probably the best thrower into tank options, I still think that they're going to need a lot more to be able to deal with this Jackie here.
Yeah, just the damage output that Willow can put out isn't all that great here. I mean, they need to get something more aggressive here, and they go for the Max along with Anita. I like this Max pick. I don't exactly know if they can address the Jackie, but I feel like with coming together as a team, they might be able to do exactly that, because Jackie might try to go in, but with the max speed, you're just going to be able to keep it at bay. Let's see what Inner Circle go for the last one, Duncan.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways they could go with this. If they added another tank that is decent into Nita, I wouldn't even hate it for them. They could also opt the way of the Dynamite if they want to try to win that thrower 1v1, and it looks like that is in fact what they're going to do. They're going to take their chances on the Dynamite versus the Willow. That is a very favorable matchup for the Mike. But with the Willow's gadget that allows her to dive under the ground for a couple of seconds, it does kind of neutralize the effectiveness of those Dynamite supers to a small extent right there. Obviously, you know exactly when and where she's going to be popping back up. But overall, I definitely got my eye on these throwers and on the Jackie as well. I feel like if they're able to shut down the Jackie, then Reply Totem might be able to have the comp here. I'm looking forward to see if we get a Willow self-score here, though.
I mean, that would be fun to watch, obviously, but I'm interested to see how Willow does play out here as we go into our second set between Inner Circle and Reply Totem. Totem took the first one. Let's see if Inner Circle can respond here, Duncan.
Yep, we're going to see Angel Boy aggressing quite heavily onto Nob on the top right of this map right here. Mori is getting decently pushed back by Nob's Dynamite right now, but he's holding his own for the time being. We do see Angel Boy kind of having to retreat for now, but it looks like the Jackie is going up and making a play on the left side of the map. All three members of Reply Totem all back to kind of address that, and they do deal with the Jackie, but Mebius might have an angle. He rushes it a small amount. Mori is going to have to dive to be able to get out of that situation, but like I said, they know exactly when and where he pops back up. They quickly deal with him, and we see Maru pop down a bear here. It's going to be dealt with in due time. Inner Circle's holding mid control right now. Totem does seem to be on the back foot for now.
Indeed, and Nob going in with the gadget there. It's getting a little bit of value. Ooh, nice pull from Rama. Gets kill on Amaru as well. It's going to be a 3v2 in the mid, and once more Totem trying to mount a defensive play, but it doesn't look like it's going to be possible here. Kills coming in. Oh no, whiffed play coming in from Mebius, and now Maru is able to keep the ball out of harm's way. Great defensive plays from Totem, but more so a big fumble from Mebius.
I have to agree with that. I think that he was a little bit too scared of the Willow mind control and he wanted to get out of that situation, but Rama's going up with Hypercharge now, likely going to be able to get 2 kills, but scratch that, he gets none. Angel Boy is doing such a good job juking right now. He cleans up very, very well, and now Mori's going to be dealing with Mebius here. We might see a trade out, but it looks like Mebius does survive. He gets the super shot off of Maru, and he actually manages to slot it in. That was textbook Stu plays right there. He makes up for his previous mistake, and he gets the first goal of the game right here.
Indeed, speed coming in from Max, but a nice pull from Rama. It does make sure that Angel Boy goes down. He tells it to get back right here and takes him out as well. The ball's going to be passed on the left-hand side and slows down the game considerably for Inner Circle, though.
Yeah, Rama is absolutely cooking on the Jackie so far. We see the Dynamite Super come through. Nob is able to kill Maru right there. The bear is dealt with quite quickly. Haven't really seen the bear be able to get too much value in this set so far. But either way, we are going to see Totem down 1-0. They need to make a play now or it's going to be never because there is 15 seconds left on the clock. Nob is pushing up with that super, not able to get a kill right there. And it seems like the defenses of Inner Circle are likely going to be able to hold out right here. Rama's taking significant damage. Mori is going to have to go retrieve the ball right now. Angel Boy's making a good push. They might be able to have time here. And it is going to be able to secure the goal at the very last second. Fantastically played. They knew exactly how much time they had left and were barely able to secure that overtime. Mebius is going to be using a Stu Hypercharge now, and Inner Circle does seem to have pretty solid positioning going into OT with Nob and the Hypercharge activated.
That was crazy hypercharge from Nob here. He should be able to get something. No, he doesn't. Oh no, that gadget was there, but Nob finds the kill nonetheless. Angel Boy trying to clear the ball. Rama has a ball here along with a super, and he's just going to be able to walk this one in Inner Circle. Are able to get that dub, but the fact that Totem were able to push that into overtime was kind of insane. I feel so bad for them for not getting the dub, but Inner Circle knew what they had to do in the second half.
Yeah, well played by Inner Circle to not get too frazzled by conceding at the very last second there. Totem, I'm still so impressed they were able to get that goal there. I thought there was no way they had enough time. You saw the clock hit 0 and then it hit overtime right after. So crazy stuff right there at the last millisecond. But overall, Inner Circle still was able to come out with the dub on top right there. We're going to need to see Reply Totem maybe trying to prioritize scoring before overtime this time around. That was just quite an insane finish right there. Can't believe they were able to finesse that goal at the last second.
Indeed, and let's see what happens as we go into the next game here. I'm a bit like, I don't know. I just want to see it happening right now. That was such a good game.
Yeah, I don't know if we're dealing with a little bit of an issue here. Haven't been able to hop back into game number 2 right now, but with the way that Brawl Ball is, you never know what you could be missing right here. There's obviously could be a very quick goal with the Jackie as far as the side of Inner Circle goes, or with Willow on the side of Reply Totem. But it looks like we do have a little bit of a spectator bug going right now, so we'll try to get you back into that game as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're just the thing is that most of the players have different devices, right? So what works for one may not work for somebody else. So the framing, it's gonna look weird if we don't exactly have that done right. So it's gonna take a little bit of time for us to get that organized for you. Apologies for the issue, but whoever is doing it, please stop the bugs. Please stop the DDoSing.
Yeah, couldn't agree with that more. We've got some action-packed Brawl Ball, and I don't want to miss a second of it, man, especially after the way that game number 1 wrapped up. God, that was just insane that Reply Totem was able to get away with that goal. Even though they lost, man, that was still had to have been the play of the game. But overall, I don't really know if they're going to be able to deal with the Jackie as well as they might have imagined. I feel like the Nita isn't really as hard of a counter into the Jackie as some people might think. She's just kind of able to blast through so quickly. The pull has been so effective as well. And Jackie's just one of those brawlers that gets hypercharges so quick. When you have a tank that's able to get a hypercharge quick, even just those like baseline movement buffs, that damage buff is just going to be so impactful, even if you're not accounting for the super.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jackie is just like kind of crazy on a map like this, and especially with the opposition that you're facing, you got to play it very aggressively, but you also need to know when to back off. And I feel like Rama knows exactly what to do in these situations, which is why his Jackie was doing really great against the Totem squad. Totem took a risk with that Willow, but it hasn't been working out well for them because Willow hasn't been able to get those supers off and hypnotize people reliably to either mount a defense or an offense. So let's see how that one does play out.
Yeah, I think we only saw one moment where the Willow super really came in clutch right there, and it was just kind of forcing potentially a forced error, maybe an unforced error from the Stu on the side of Inner Circle right there. But overall, I do think that we are going to need to see a little bit better Willow plays, but it looks like we actually do have our result coming in. Inner Circle is going to sweep 2-0 in Brawl Ball, so that's going to bring us to 1-1 overall, and we're going to be hopping into set 3 soon enough. It's going to be Hideout.
Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't show you guys the gameplay for that because we did have some spectator issues. Hopefully, in the future, we don't have these problems, but, just gotta roll with the punches, I guess. Luckily, though, for Inner Circle, they're able to get their win here. They were playing it really good in the first game. Maybe they're going to be able to replicate more of the success going forward. Like I mentioned, both these teams are highly radioactive in terms of their stability. I feel like they kind of completely devolve really fast, so it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out as we go into the next set, which is going to be Hideout, which is a bounty map. And this is a map where you're going to have a lot of the brawlers that got nerfed. They're still going to be being picked up here. Like, there is no way Gray is not going to be picked up. There is no way Angela is not going to be picked up. They're so important in terms of the kit that they bring to the table that you're going to have them picked out, I feel, most of the time.
I would have to imagine you're going to be correct on that. Same thing goes for like Lumi as well. And maybe we'll get to see a little bit of Mandy, even though her hypercharge rate got nerfed. But overall, I think that you are definitely spot on about Gray and Angelo. Definitely would be shocked to see both of those brawlers not be either picked or banned here, especially the Gray. He's just so impactful. Even with a 3-second adding to that gadget cooldown, I feel like you're still going to be able to get so much value out of that gadget. And it's so important for him to be able to charge his super in the early part of the game. So definitely expecting some Gray, definitely expecting some Angelo. Maybe we'll get to see a little bit more Cat action as well. That's another brawler that is very, very popular in Bounty right now. So definitely a lot of different comps that you could see here, but I'm looking forward to a little bit of ranged battles here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like this is going to be a very interesting set. We're going to have a very aggressive set for sure because both these teams like to play aggressively. The compositions are going to reflect that idea in mind, but let's see how this goes along as we go into our draft. Hopefully soon. I think that they're going to be in the lobby soon. I just got word from production. I'm sorry. Just got word from production that they're still getting into lobby. They're still trying to identify how to capture the player screens. So just going to give us a little bit of time here as we try to iron out those issues. Apologies for what's happening here, but it is definitely a lot of work happening behind the scenes, and I appreciate your patience and apologies once more.
Yeah, much appreciated, guys. But we should be able to hopefully see this set number 3. We are tied up 1-1 throughout 2 sets of gameplay so far. In case anybody was not aware of that, we have Inner Circle winning the Brawl Ball set. We had Reply Totem taking the Heist set right there. So we are tied up right now. Both of these teams need a win desperately in order to increase their record to 3-2 through 5 days. But these are 2 teams that are both kind of on the cusp of being top 4 teams in the region. So you're going to see them fighting tooth and nail to try to get this win here.
Yeah, it's very important for them to get the win today because for Totem, it's going to cement their position in the top rung. And for Inner Circle, it's going to give them an opportunity to actually compete to be in the top 4, right? So you need to be in the top 4 if you want to get to the LAN event in Valencia. So it's very, very important for them to get this win. I feel like, honestly, it's going to be important for every team to get the win. But, you know, especially if you're like in a position where you can cement your positioning on the leaderboard. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be important because not only would they be increasing themselves to 3-2, but you're also knocking one of your closest competitors down to 2-3. So it's going to be very important, especially since we have SK and Humble kind of looking more or less unstoppable. So those are 2 teams that are more than likely going to be grabbing 2 of those top 4 spots. So there's only going to be 2 other spots that are going to be kind of highly coveted over for the rest of the league play. And I mean, Totem and Inner Circle are 2 teams that definitely could cement themselves in that top 4. They've got to fight with everything they've got here. They cannot afford to lose in a moment like this, but we are tied up 1-1. So very curious to see how these last 3 sets go if we even make it that far.
That's true. And then the last 3 sets are going to be Hideout, Out in the Open, and Open Zone. So right now, because we had the 1-1, definitely we're going to have Out in the Open as a guarantee. We got to see in the Out of the Open set if we're going to get a set number 5 or not, which goes to Open Zone. But just a reminder for what we have planned for you guys after this match is done. We have Eclipsar Esports versus SK Gaming, which is going to be a banger for match for sure. And then we have Team Heretics versus Humble, which again is going to be a very interesting match, especially with this new shake-up of the squad of Team Heretics here. So I'm interested to see what happens here. And if you're joined us late, we had Ping Abusers versus Reverso Gaming, where Ping Abusers took it at a 3-1. So if you are looking to keep up to date with all of this information regarding esports, what to look at, what to look for, go to liquipedia.com. Liquipedia, not .com, but Liquipedia. I believe the link is in the description or exclamation info in chat. You will get the Liquipedia link. If you're on Twitter, well, first of all, obviously follow Duncan and me, but if you want all of the esports information, follow official BSEN. You get all the information in terms of what matches are going to be happening on a specific day, on a week. They're going to keep you up to date with all of that information for Brawl Stars esports. So very, very important resources if you are into the esports scene. Also, obviously, Twitter is just the best place to keep up to date with all of the pros, their beefs as well, the cross-regional beefs that we see as well. So make sure you follow, get Twitter and follow all the pro players because it's honestly quite fun keeping up to date with the esports scene.
Absolutely. There's always a little bit of drama going down in the background of esports too. So you can get a little further invested into the lore if you follow all these players on Twitter. I highly recommend it. But I mean, besides that, man, I'm trying to think of what else we can talk about here. Never mind. Let's freaking go. We've got our draft number 3 pulled up here. We've got Bounty. It's Hideout. We see our bans coming through. We see Bonnie banned, so unfortunately we're not going to see her played. We do see her banned though, as well as Leon, RT, Lumi, Jean, and Bell. Inner Circle opting for that gray with the first pick, so it seems Panda, our analysis was correct. Even with the gadget nerf, he is still going to be highly cemented into this meta. And then we see one of the more popular combinations that we've seen throughout our last couple days of league play as well, with the Buster and the Max coming through for Reply Totem, looking to keep a little bit of that higher HP, speed, and aggression on the board.
I like this Buster pick here. It's just gonna be so oppressive, especially on a hideout here. I am slightly surprised to see the Buster, just slightly, on this map. But you know, if you can open up the map fast enough, the Buster is not gonna be as impactful. But the max speed is just gonna make Buster such a scary proposition. If the Buster is able to hug onto the walls in the bottom right, it's very difficult for Inner Circle to really compete. And they go for the Angelo along with the Pearl. I like this Pearl pick, especially with the gadget. If you're completely heated up, it's gonna be hard to really walk in. It's not like you can simply walk into Mordor.
Yeah, I completely agree with the Pearl pick. It's definitely good to have like a tank counter with a little bit more range. Pearl and RT are typically the brawlers that fall into that category, but Pearl has easier shots to hit than RT, so definitely like that pick from Inner Circle. A little surprised to see them add an Angelo as well, because with the Angelo in the gray, it's going to be tough to hit shots onto a sped up opponent like a Max, like a Buster with max speed. Reply Totem is going to be kind of just adding to their HP pool here with a Byron, so they're going to be trying to heal up their tank and their support brawler with the Max right there. It's definitely going to be a little bit of a battle of sharpshooters on the side of Inner Circle versus HP and aggression on the side of Reply Totem. If Inner Circle is able to land every shot, they should have the advantage, but it's going to be a tall task, especially considering how good Angel Boy is on the Max for Reply Totem.
Indeed, and before this update, we did have, rather before the balance changes, we did have Buster at a very Byron at a very high use rate on this map with a very high win rate, and Pearl also mirrors this kind of ability as we go into game one of set number 3 between Inner Circle and Totem, and already a very early kill coming in from Reply Totem as they get a 3-star lead. Angel Boy in a very aggressive position, pushing back Inner Circle all the way to spawn. I think they want to ensure that Mebius can't get as much value with the heat as much as possible, which prompted the early aggression. Ooh, double kill coming in from Nob. That is huge.
Yeah, even with the lead, it seems like Totem is still going to be trying to push up very aggressive. They do fall back now that they've lost a member. We see Inner Circle kind of gaining some of this position back. The Byron splash and the tap comes through, and Rama is going to go down very, very quickly right there. So we see the speed coming in from Max. Mari's pushing up. Angel Boy's pushing in. Nob is forced to fall back right there. And we just see Mori's getting so much value on the Byron right now.
Indeed. Ooh, Walking Cane getting missed by Nob. That's going to be a little bit detrimental. They got to wait 23 seconds. Oh, nice pull from Maru. Gets a kill onto Rama. That is huge. That's going to give them a 5-star lead. Angel Boy still aggressing against Nob. The heat is there, but the hypercharge from Maru is able to ensure that Angel Boy still stays alive. Maybe it's taken down. It's going to increase the lead to 8-star, and that is going to be huge. 10-star lead with Rama being taken down. It's over with Maru taking down Nob as well. It was just one after the other for Totem as they completely laid into Inner Circle.
This comp from Reply Totem is looking absolutely masterful right now. The max speed in combination with the Buster HP and shield, and then adding on top of that the heals of the Byron, especially when Mori is tapping the way that he's been tapping. It's just not really much you can do about it. You saw Maru was getting so much value with all of those Buster pulls right there, just really able to carry his team in the way of the kills right there. He was definitely doing a fantastic job there. Even when he did die, he didn't take it too hard. He would just fall back, get that max speed, and go back in one more time. But like I said, Inner Circle is going to have to be so locked in with their snipes to be able to win this game. And so far, it seems like the speed was a little bit too much for them to overcome.
Yeah, I did mention that the max speed might be the biggest reason why. And Buster was able to pick up the slack for a lot of the times where Angel Boy was a little bit caught off guard by the heat from the Pearl. I feel like Reply Totem are playing this one really clean, and Inner Circle are just letting it happen.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of the case so far. I mean, I saw a couple of missed gray hooks that definitely was not going to be able to secure a whole lot of supercharge for them. I didn't even see a gray hypercharge go online that game, so it seems like these tankier, speedier brawlers are proving very, very difficult to tap up. But overall, I feel like they definitely need a little bit more from Angelo, especially into the Byron 1v1. It's going to be tough for them to win that, but we're finally back in here. Cannot see what the score is as of right now, but it seems like we are going to be watching from Mebius's perspective as we hop into game number 2 of Hideout.
Indeed, already popping the hypercharge here. Mebius, he's going to go up against Maru. Has got the gadget as well onto Maru, but it's not done all that much.
Yeah, we see Maru has 7 stars on the Buster right now, so it seems like Totem is probably eating pretty good so far. They are pushed back into their spawn. Angel Boy somehow doesn't die yet, but it looks like Mebius is going to be doing all he can, and that is going to wrap it up. Not able to kill Maru before that, so that's going to be a very clean set from Totem right there. Maru's 6-0. on the Buster in that last game. Absolutely diabolical work from him. He absolutely fried them on that tank right there. But overall, I think that Inner Circle might have been a little bit too confident in their ability to hit shots onto these sped up brawlers, and that kind of bit them in the butt on the way out.
Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't show you guys all of the gameplay there, so apologies for that. But beautiful stuff coming from Reply Totem. The fact that Buster was the linchpin of the composition from Reply Totem was kind of crazy. I know that Buster is strong. I feel like the nerf should have made him weaker than he is right now. I feel like he's still going to be one of the best brawlers in the meta. That's how crazy Buster has been, mind you. So very well played by Reply Totem, very well drafted. Inner Circle are definitely out of their depth in this one.
A little bit. They're going to have to draft a little bit better going into set number 4, which I believe is going to be Knockout. It's going to be out in the open, so we'll probably see some similar drafts come through with that. Very similar map to Hideout in that manner. But overall, I'm definitely still expecting Gray. I'm still expecting Angelo. Maybe not on the same team this time. It proved to be a little bit more sniper-oriented than Inner Circle could really handle right there, so we're going to have to see how this draft unfolds there. And I'm still shocked that we saw the Bonnie banned out in that last set. I really do want to see some Bonnie today, Panda. Maybe I'm a broken record at this point, but all the pros have been glazing her on Twitter, so I'm expecting a little bit of action.
Yeah, I understand that the Bonnie needs to be picked up. I'm surprised that none of the teams have picked it up. I expect the next 2 matches probably to have more Bonnie being brought out, but I still have to mention the Buster nerf makes it weaker, sure, but all of the people that he's supposed to address got weaker as well, right? So definitely. It just makes him that much greater in the meta. And Reply Totem go for the Gene as their first pick here, as we have our bans: Lumi, Buster, Brock, Pearl, Byron, and Squeak.
Yep, definitely some pretty normal bans coming through from the side of Inner Circle. Do not want to have to deal with Mario on that Buster again. I completely understand that. I would not want to deal with that either. He absolutely cooked them in the last set, but we see the Gene coming through with the first pick. Gray has not been banned out, so wouldn't be surprised to see Inner Circle grabbing that again. Maybe they want to mix up their comp a little bit more, considering it didn't really work last time, but overall, I do think that the Gene pick is going to be quite solid. Just trying to use that first round to charge up that Gene pull, and then use it in the second or third round to secure a kill and kind of just get that 2v3 online. We are finally going to see some Meeple action, which we didn't see at all yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be picked alongside the RT right here. So we've got a little bit of range, a little bit of damage coming through from the side of Inner Circle. It seems like they are a little bit worried about getting run down once again by the side of Reply Totem, so I don't mind the RT pick at all. I think that the Meeple could be very good as far as positioning goes. With that box gadget, can definitely be so useful. So solid 2-3 from Inner Circle. Gonna see if Reply Totem adds any more aggression here. Max is open.
Yeah, Max is such a good brawler here, right? Especially with the Gene, the synergy is great, but then you can pair him with like a very aggro brawler, and it just makes him that much more of a threat here. So I wouldn't be surprised if Reply Totem pick it up, but they have to be worried, at least to a certain extent, about both the Meeple and also the RT. I feel like the Meeple slows down the rate of how this game is going to be played, because he definitely defines the lanes based off of the gadgets that he can use. And obviously, once you have your super, you're not going to be able to hide behind walls. And to Reply Totem bring out both the Angelo and the Max. We expected the Max, and the Angelo as well is a very strong pick here. So very well-rounded draft from Reply Totem here, but I don't exactly see what they can do against the Meeple unless we get a Magic Hand in the Gene.
Yeah, the Meeple is going to be a very interesting brawler to watch here. His range isn't the best, but his ability to manipulate the map is the best. So curious to see like how he's going to use those box gadgets. But overall, I do like the Angelo quite a fair bit for Reply Totem. They aren't going all in with the speed strategy like we saw in the last set right there. They're going to have a brawler that's able to walk over that water, and Inner Circle is taking a page out of that same book, going with the Eve last pick. Don't mind that at all, especially with the spawner abilities. It's going to make the Gene's life a lot harder once he does get that pull. So we see 2 water brawlers coming in, 1 for each team. Overall, I like both of these comps. I'm very curious to see if the Gene's going to be able to land any pulls. If he does, I think this should go the way of Reply Totem, but Inner Circle has a lot to be able to kind of deal with that and counter it out.
Yeah, Inner Circle do have the way forward to get this dub here, but they have to play it very concertedly, because you shouldn't get caught out napping, especially when you get the Gene with the pull and everything. We're going to go into set number 4, first game between Inner Circle and Totem. Totem have 2 to Inner Circle's 1. And so far, it seems to be a little bit of a detente in the mid.
Yep, we're going to see Mori and Angel Boy playing very, very much together throughout the beginning of this game. Obviously, Angel Boy wants to play a little bit aggressive. Getting those Gene Magic Puffs is going to allow him to do so, but they're applying so much pressure onto Rama on the left side. We do see Totem falling back a little bit from their aggressive positioning as of right now, and the Meeple box finally comes through. Mori is going to be boxed, but Angel Boy has his max speed. He takes significant damage as he uses it, but they're going to be able to use that to kind of push in, and as this gas starts coming in, Inner Circle is pretty spawn trapped right now.
Ooh, Angel Boy going very aggressively. Uses a phase shifter, gets a kill on a knob, but gets taken out himself. It's a 2v2. But Rama caught in a very awkward position. Doesn't have enough HP to really engage once more. As we go into the dying seconds, the smoke starts billowing in. Mario has his charged up shot, uses a super, gets a kill on a Mebius. Rama's the last one alive, but not anything to sweat about for Reply Totem as they get this first round win here.
That was well played by Mario to be patient, wait for the Eve jump. But overall, the fact that he landed that shot onto the RT is kind of what did it. But Mario's going to go for an initial pull, and they're going to be able to take out Mebius as a team. Nob has his full box, and they're going to be quite trapped in that 1-by-1 lane right there. They use the Vengeful Spirits to get out of it, though. And now Rama is going to be left in a 1v3. And that is going to be a very quick round 2. Going the way of Totem. They push Inner Circle to match point right here, Panda.
Indeed, amazing stuff coming in from Reply Totem here. They're looking quite dominant, especially in that set there. Let's see if they're able to keep on with this momentum, or if Inner Circle can respond and get a dub here, because they sorely need it right now.
Absolutely. They're going to have to lock in pretty hard right here, but the comp did not seem the best right there. As far as the water brawlers go, I would take Angelo over Eve any day of the week, but we're going to see Angel Boy and Mari trying the same strategy over on the left side. Nob is going to provide a lot more help, and Angel Boy's in a tough spot. He does get taken out by the RT gadget right there, so Inner Circle off to a pretty hot start. They are going to retreat due to having a little bit of low HP right now, but it's just going to be the Gene who does get taken out right there. And now we see the Angelo left in a 1v3. This is looking like it's going to be a round 1 win for Inner Circle.
That was a nice cheeky play coming from Maru. He also charges up his super a little bit more with that play there. Not even necessary, but I like it. I dig it.
It was worth a shot. You might as well go for it if you got it. I like dropping a little bit of swag on us here, but Nob is going to be dropping the full box here, taking up so much of the map right here. Totem has no choice but to fall back right now for the time being. Gene does get tapped up quite a fair amount, though. Mebius is pretty weak to the Angelo as well, so they're all going to be kind of falling back here. We see Angel Boy pop the max speed, and Maru's going to be trying to force the issue onto Rama right here. He is quite weak behind that wall, and Maru does indeed get the kill right there. So now Mebius and Nob are left in a 2v1. Mebius is quite weak as well, more than likely going to go down here. But he does manage to somehow slide out of here, 55 HP. He's going to go down. Nob does box all of them. Doesn't seem like he's willing to use his super to try to go for the 1v3, though. He is going to be putting the fries in the bag, retreating back into the spawn. And that is probably going to do it for round number 1, or round number 2 right there. We're tied up at 1-1.
That was such a funny mentions of people there, the gadget to completely get all three of them in the same spot, but unfortunately none of his teammates there to capitalize on it, because they would have been great for them. They would have got a team wipe there, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. We go into the next round here. It is 1 round away from Reply Totem getting the dub here. They are on match point. Ooh, this is such a huge super coming in from Nob. He gets the gadget as well, but that max speed is allowing them to dodge a lot of these shots. Hypercharge from Maru. He finds the shot off onto Rama. That is crazy. Nob is also going to be taking a lot of poison damage and is out of position here. It's a 3v2 favoring Reply Totem quite heavily, as Mori has a pull here, and they are not stopping. Mebius goes down. Nob is surely the next one to follow, and that is Reply Totem capping this one off with a dub and a win here against Inner Circle in a 3-1 scoreline.
That was so well played by Totem. I've never seen a max speed used inside of a Meeple box and actually able to juke out of those shots. The whole point about Meeple is he's supposed to have automatic hits with that main attack, especially when he has a super and a gadget down like that. But somehow the max speed, just kind of spamming those wiggles around, we're able to get them out of a bad situation. The Angelo shots just came in so clutch at the end of that game too. And it seems like the Eve might have been a little bit of a weak pick right there. But either way, Totem capitalizes on a little bit of a comp diff right there. They played fantastically well. Very well earned victory for Reply Totem right there.
Honestly, I'm still at a loss for words, especially when the Mansions of Meeple went down, when that super went down. I thought it's a team wipe. I thought that Totem were completely dead. They had what, like 5 tiles by 5 tiles to move around with, and they still were able to dodge it with that max speed. That is absolutely crazy. I feel like that's unheard of. So great job from Reply Totem to get that dub there, 3-1. It's going to give them a lot more confidence going into the future stages of this tournament. We're going to go into Eclipse Star Esports versus SK Gaming, but what are your thoughts about what we just saw off between Inner Circle and Reply Totem, and then the totality of this matchup.
I feel like we're seeing Reply Totem kind of fall into form right here. I mean, this was a pretty even matchup, like on paper right there, but Totem definitely looked like the superior team. I like their drafts better. I like their gameplay better. One thing I would have to say, if I'm a team going against Reply Totem next, I gotta ban the Max out more often, because Angel Boy has just been such a menace on the Max. He's able to synergize with his teammates so well. And don't even get me started on the jukes that he's able to pull out once he does have that super. So if I'm facing Reply Totem, I'm probably perma-banning Max, if I'm being so honest with you. Definitely wouldn't want to deal with that again. But we've got some free gems for you guys too, if anybody wants first come, first serve for the 50 gems right there. But yeah, like I said, man, I would definitely not want to let Angel Boy get on his main brawler ever again.
And we're going to take a short break while you guys scan these gems. We're going to be out for about 3 minutes, and we will see you guys after the break.
Gotcha.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OWN Valencia Masters. It is the league phase right now, match day number 5. We finished 2 of our matches today. We have 2 more for you. And if you missed out on what we saw first, we had Ping Abusers going up against Reverso Gaming, where Ping Abusers took it with a 3-1 scoreline, which is kind of crazy. Then we had Inner Circle versus Reply Totem in a 3-1. That last set was probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I've never seen that happen. If you've missed it, make sure to rewind on YouTube or cast the VOD on Twitch or TikTok or whatever. But now we are going to go into Eclipse Art Esports versus SK Gaming. And I am quite excited for this one, Duncan.
I have to second you on that. I'm super excited to see what Eclipsar is going to have here. It's going to be a tough task for them going up against SK Gaming. Very clearly in the top 2 teams in this region. They are sitting on top of the leaderboards as far as BSC goes. As far as OWN goes, though, they are sitting a little bit below Humble, having lost that 1v1 right there. So SK is going to be trying to solidify their spot in the playoffs here with a 4-1 record if they're able to take Eclipsar out. But Eclipsar is sitting at 2-2 right here, so a win here would be massive for their positioning as far as the tournament goes right now, especially with Reply Totem moving up to 3-2, Inner Circle moving down to 2-3. Eclipsar does not want to find themselves joining Inner Circle at 2-3. This is going to be a huge game for them. If they're able to beat SK, that would be absolutely massive for their momentum.
Yeah, exactly. Eclipsar Esports, despite faltering, have gained confidence with yesterday's win over Reverso Gaming. However, they're now facing an SK squad that is in top form, fresh off winning the monthly finals and qualifying for the Brawl Cup as a region's first seed. SK wins 70% of their recent games against Eclipsar, so I don't know. It makes the odds heavily favored for SK. Eclipsar desperately need this win, but they appear to be facing an unstoppable force here, Duncan. As we go into our draft, we have the first pick from SK Gaming, going to be the Carl, and the bands are Lumi, Janet, Esther, Ollie, Buster, and the Jackie.
Yeah, so SK looks like they want to get all of this aggro out of the way. Maybe they're a little bit scared of the gray teleport strategy, which has been very, very popular on Hard Rock Mine. They do grab the recently nerfed Carl, and although he didn't get any of his main kit nerfed, the damage from that gadget is significantly reduced, so not going to be as menacing as he once was, but either way, still a very versatile, very strong brawler to take with that first pick. Don't mind it at all from the side of SK. Would be a little bit surprised to see Gray not get picked up here from the side of Eclipsar. He has been one of the most popular options, but like I said, SK's banning out a lot of the brawlers that synergize the best with him. So we are going to see Eclipsar pass on the Gray. We're going to see our second meeple of the day, as well as the Buzz come through, which is probably the hardest counter to Carl in a single 1v1 interaction. So I like Eclipsar's comp here. They're definitely drafting a little bit reactionary to SK, but overall, they should be able to deal with the Carl pretty easily with this meeple Buzz combo.
Yeah, the Meeple Buzz so great. You can shut down people with your gadgets, the stuns as well. I like SK Gaming's Carl pick. Like I mentioned, you're not going to see brawlers like Carl drop off the meta really fast now. It's going to take a little bit of time for assessment to understand where it's going to be landing in the meta, but I think that the nerf is going to be playing a little bit of a pivotal interaction, because it's not a gadget nerf in terms of the cooldown, but it is a nerf to the amount of damage that the gadget does. So that might be something to think about here. As SK Gaming have their next two picks, we still have Gray, which is open, and they go for the Gray along with the Hank, and I feel like I'm a soothsayer right now.
Yeah, I can't believe I almost forgot about Hank's existence. When I saw SK banning all those tanks, I was like, is there one that pairs with Gray that I'm missing? There was. It's the Fish. So we see them picking up the teleport guy and the Fish guy. Definitely a very, very strong combination right there. Considering you're allowed to teleport through the Gray teleport without popping your Hank bubble, you can charge up a full shot right there, teleport through, and let it rip immediately. But we see Eclipsar is not going to be scared off by the high HP of SK. They're going to take the tankiest brawler in the game on the Frank right there. So this is going to be a pretty hectic game if I had to guess so far, Panda. We're going to see a Meeple mid versus a Gray mid, and then two very aggressive lanes on the side of both comps right here. Do you have any that you're favoring right now?
I think I like the SK composition because they have a good synergy, I feel, in terms of the brawlers that they're bringing to the table. I feel like Eclipsar's is so highly reactionary, but we got to see how this one plays out as we go into our first set between Eclipsar Esports and SK Gaming. And so far, it seems to be a little bit of a stalemate in the mid, though it's still early seconds here.
Yep, it's going to be a little bit hard for Biso to be able to land consistent shots onto Ope. He does get outrange, but so far, so good. Joker is able to take out Marco with the help of Ope there, but Sabim is cooking over on the left side of the map. He's able to eliminate Yoshi. He gets teleported on quite quickly, though. Maybe not exactly where they would like the Gray teleport to be, but had to do what they had to do to get the elimination. So we are going to see a 3-3 gem count right now. Both teams even, as Marco is trying to push up by himself on the right side. He's taking significant damage, but he remains alive, and he actually lands the stun onto Ope, who somehow doesn't die to Biso's shot. Yoshi is going to be moving on to the gem carrier for the side of Eclipsar now, and this is just so much action all over the field. We see the Frank pick up the gems. Ope does finally get a teleport into the mid there, so far looking a little bit better for SK. Eclipsar definitely doesn't want 3 gems on the Frank.
Indeed, and a hyper teleport so early on is kind of crazy. It's just been a minute, so Ope has been lining up these shots crazily, and so Beam goes in with a hypercharge. He's trying to go in once more. He finds the kill, gets taken out himself. I think he's done his job more or less, but Biso is going to be very, very low minute, and it's just to survive dodging that Hank super, and a big hypercharge being popped by the Carl there. Gets the kill, gets the gems, and is able to dip out 10 gems already for SK Gaming.
That was fantastic timing from Joker. He knew that he was going to be able to get that kill, and he used the speed of his super to be able to walk away with the gems. So Beam is pressing right here, trying to get a little bit of a gem reset going down, but with 1 second left, they do have enough time, actually. All 4 gems are still sitting back in the spawn, so Ope is going to be on all 10 right now, and they are going to have to eliminate the Gray in order to restart this countdown. It's looking like this should be a pretty easy SK win, but with the Buzz and with the Frank, you never know what type of play they might be able to pull out.
The Joker going in, completely suicides on the Frank, but takes him out as well. Nice pulse coming in. Biso is going to be very low, not going to be able to take out Ope at all. And SK Gaming quite comfortably, with a little bit of a hiccup here and there, get their first dub already on the board.
Yep, definitely a very clean game from SK right there. It took them a little bit to get set up, but they got that Gray hypercharge so very quickly. That's kind of the risky run when you run double tank into a Gray, or into any brawler for that matter. They're going to be able to feed hypercharges a lot quicker, and SK for sure benefited from that. They got that hypercharge teleport in the ideal spot for Joker to be able to make that game-winning play, initially getting those gems back to their spawn. So I definitely like the strategy from SK a little bit better so far. Eclipsar is going to have to make sure that they keep the gems on Biso, because if they do get onto Marco or onto Sabim, it's going to be very difficult for them to last the rest of the game without dying, considering they are on more aggressive brawlers.
Indeed, and I think that a gameplay strategy change from Eclipsar is definitely what's required here, because they were able to get the reset against SK Gaming. So it's not like they're not going to be able to get a dub here. It's not like SK's completely outcomped them or completely outplayed them. It's still possible for them to get a dub here. But I feel like we're probably having spectator issues, which is why we haven't gone back in the game here. So once again, a premature apology here for the issues that we're facing.
Yep, sorry about that, guys. We want to watch this as much as you right here, but we've got an electric set of Hard Rock Mine right here. I do think that the comps for sure favor SK right here. It's going to have to be, the cards are going to have to kind of fall in the right direction for Eclipsar to be able to get away with this. They do have a good matchup for the Buzz, but I feel like the Frank more or less was acting as a super feed, even though he was able to get one cheeky kill on Ope, catching him at the end range of his super. I feel like that is something that's not going to be able to be easily replicatable, and they're going to have to do a little bit more. I think that the Meeple is probably going to have to make his presence a little bit more known if they're going to be able to take a game off them on Hard Rock.
It looks like SK Gaming took the first set, based off of what we see. Why does EMEA always have streaming problems? I'm not sure. It's not an EMEA thing, but hopefully we resolve it as we go into our next step, which is going to be safe zone. So looking at safe zone here, because we can't really talk about what we saw in a Hard Rock Mine as it was, cut short for us. But from what we saw, it seemed like a very clean game and a set from SK Gaming. We saw Ope just connecting a lot of those Gray shots and getting his supers early and the hyper supers earlier. So it just made it that much more potent for Hank to go in. And considering the composition that we saw from Eclipsar, it was fairly simple for Gray to get those supers, right? Because he is facing off against a Buzz and a Frank, which are, going to be brawlers that just walk straight in. So all in all, very good plays coming in from SK Gaming as we go in safe zone here, Duncan.
Yep, it did seem like a little bit more of a reactionary draft from the side of Eclipsar, kind of just reacting to the Carl pick, taking the Buzz to try to counter that out, but that leaves them weak in other areas. The Gray was able to feed a little bit too easily, so I would like to see Eclipsar maybe kind of try to go in their own lane a little bit with this next draft, but Safe Zone is going to be quite the map. Should be very, very fun to watch. We've obviously got a lot of the dive brawlers are going to be pretty popular here, including Melody, including Chuck, but you have some other more range damage options such as Angelo, Colt, Piper that could definitely find their way into the draft right here, especially with that heist change. It's going to be a little bit harder for those dive brawlers to thrive, so maybe we'll start seeing a little bit more ranged options as far as the brawlers that people select to shred that safe down, but we can only assume for now as we hop into our second set of the day. SK does have a 1-0 lead right now, but we see the bans coming through: Angelo, Melody, Lumi, Bo, Lily, and Bell. So some pretty interesting bans from SK's side as they are going to take that Frank first pick. Very interesting, a little bit early for the Chuck in my opinion, but it seems like they've got a strategy.
Yeah, it's a very interesting pick here because, like we just mentioned, how Heist has changed in terms of the new changes, right? You have the invincibility frames 4 times throughout the game. Well, not 4 times, 3 times throughout the game. So you got to be careful about that. And I feel like a dive brawler like Chuck is so much of an antithesis to what the meta is forming in my mind. So it is kind of crazy to see the Chuck being brought out. I'm not saying that Chuck is bad by any means, but I feel like there are definitely going to be situations where Chuck goes in on the safe and it's like invincible. So you need to pair up Chuck with probably some long range brawlers that can, just pepper the safe to trigger the invincibility so Chuck can do its job.
I'm curious what kind of shutdown brawler Eclipsar is going to look for, because there are a lot of brawlers that can deal pretty easily into the Chuck. I was thinking Cordelius or Charlie more than likely, but they're actually going to be taking a little bit of a different approach. They're going to go with the Colette as well as the Bee. Colette is a brawler that has suffered a little bit from the Heist change, considering her super with that hypercharge does so much damage at one time. That does get countered out a little bit by the shield thresholds right there. So curious how they'll be timing those Colette supers. Maybe they'll wait for the shield to go down before popping any Colette hypercharges, but the Bee is also going to be a fantastic brawler. Should be able to deal with the Chuck pretty easily, especially in combination with the Colette. So I don't mind this from Eclipsar Esports. I do think that there are brawlers that can shut down the Chuck a little bit easier, such as the Cordelius and Charlie that I mentioned earlier. Maybe they're saving that for the last pick, but we're going to have to see what SK goes here. Eclipsar does have a little bit more range than them as of right now, so maybe we'll see a couple of range options coming in. But with the Bo, Bell, and Angelo band, those are some of the brawlers that we see most often picked into Colette here.
Indeed, and I feel like they still don't have a out-and-out answer to Chuck. I feel like they might just ignore Chuck once more, and SK Gaming going for the Charlie, which shuts down the hypercharge from the Colette. So I like the SK Gaming strategy here. I felt like we might see a Charlie coming from Eclipsar to shut down Chuck, but they decided to go for a little bit more control, a little bit more in long range, and SK Gaming doubling down on the aggro presence. And I feel like the meta has moved towards the aggro paradigm, so I'm a little surprised that Eclipsar are kind of forcing the quote-unquote classical meta here.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I feel like they probably do need a little bit more aggression with this last pick. If they're planning on ignoring the Chuck, they're going to need somebody that can do a lot of damage. I thought they might pick Buzz, but finally my wish is granted, and we are going to get our very, very first look in competitive games of the recently reworked Bonnie. In case you guys missed the balance changes, Bonnie now gets her super back immediately upon launching herself, so she can launch out of her cannon and then pop back into the cannon immediately, so could make for some good plays. This is one of the few maps where Bonnie is somewhat playable on even before balance changes, so excited to see how she's going to be able to do here. Definitely going to be something to watch out for. I'm excited. I really have no idea what to expect from her.
I mean, I understand Bonnie is going to be really strong, but I feel like on Heist itself, the new changes don't actually benefit Bonnie because she's a dive brawler, right? You have to jump in on the safe the entire time. I don't think there's a world where you want to dive in on the safe and then go back to your other form. Anyway, we're gonna go into the first game here off the second set between Eclipsar and SK Gaming, and Yoshi's already allowed to set up here, which is kind of crazy. Biso going to go in with his gadget and super, healing up a little bit, getting some more damage, some guaranteed safe by Subi. He jumps in already, and that safe from Eclipsar is going to be taking a little bit of a hammering by Yoshi since he has been set up. But on the other side, SK is doing a pretty bang-up job here.
Yep, Yoshi was allowed to get his post down very, very early, which should bode well for SK as we get further into this game. But so far, Eclipsar's defense is pretty good. They're going to have to deal with Yoshi as he dives in here. Marco's trying to farm his 4Ks and get them onto the Chuck. He's barely able to secure that kill. We see the Bonnie diving in once again, but she does get immediately cocooned by Ope on the Charlie right there. Not going to be much you can do about that. Ope somehow survives on very low HP. We get a Colette super in there, and we're going to see both safes go down below 50% right here. Actually, it seems like SK safe is barely still above that 50% threshold, which is honestly massive. Going to be a massive waste of time once they finally do get that last 2%. Marco's going up with his B hyper, trying to do all he can. Yoshi takes a ton of damage, but at this point, it really doesn't matter. He's only a couple of dives away from being able to end this game.
Yeah, and right now they've triggered the safe for the SK safe here. Yoshi's going to be doing the same thing on the other side. Hypercharge coming in, gets a little bit of damage here, but 37% is the only amount on the safe. Wow, Yoshi going in once more. He should be able to cap the safe off here. No, he gets taken out instead. It's just a little bit more damage required, and Joker should be able to finish this one off quite comfortably with SK Gaming taking the first win here. And I would say that wasn't they weren't really tested all that much.
Yeah, I think that they're going to need to slow down Yoshi's initial post setup if they want to be able to win this. Once Yoshi does get those posts set up, it's basically just a matter of time, a matter of supers before he's able to finish off that save for good. So they're going to have to not let him get posted up on that right side. He got his post down so quickly in the beginning of the last game. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Bisto and Marco targeting the Chuck a little bit harder as we go into game number 2. This is one that Eclipsar kind of needs to win. Otherwise, they're going to be going down 2-0. Not the type of look that they're looking for right now. So Beam is doing all he can here, but the Charlie Spiders are going to counter these single shot brawlers so incredibly well. Ope is honestly doing a fantastic job of playing defense here. So Beam goes in, he gets a good amount of damage, and that is going to be 25% off the board. A Colette Hypercharge to follow, so they're off to a decent start. Yoshi does have his post set up at this point, but this is the kind of lead that they want to be able to hold on to.
Ooh, Opie trying to tank that with his gadget, the charge B shot, not able to do so. Yoshi gonna go in, but the damage has been pretty even across the board here. Yoshi is still not going to be addressed here. They don't want to take too much of value away. Jump coming in from Subin. He's going to get a little bit of value on the safe here. They have triggered the second invincibility frame, but I feel like SK has done the same here, and as a result, Yoshi is going to be able to go in even more here.
Yep, they should be able to get it down to the 25% soon with the way that Joker is pushing up here. I was a little bit intrigued by the way that they left the Chuck on the safe. It seems like it is maybe not the best strategy in the world, as the safe is going to be ticked down quite significantly, and that last tick of Carl Fire is going to be enough to finish off the job there. So we see SK with another clean set here, winning 2-0 in Heist as well. They're going to take a 2-0 lead over Eclipsar. Eclipsar's got to find an answer now. They are definitely on the verge of getting swept by one of our better teams here.
Yeah, I mean, SK has been playing it very, very clean. I liked their composition. I like the way they executed the composition. Whenever you had Sabim going in with the Bonnie and jumping in on the safe, you had the Charlie addressing it repeatedly, and that was beautiful to see the synergy between the entire team. I feel like the composition from Eclipsar could work, but they'd have to play it perfectly and completely hit every single charged up B shot, and the Bonnie needs to be perfect with all of her alignments, and it wasn't the case there, though unfortunate for them, because I feel like in a mode like this, you need to have more guaranteed damage. You need to keep going in. I feel like I've changed my understanding of it, and I think that Chuck still makes a lot of sense, because even if you dive in and you trigger the safe, you're still gonna get like that, the triggering happening right off the invincibility frame. So I still think that maybe Chuck has a lot more viability than I had originally imagined.
I agree with you there, because we saw when that invincibility shield did pop up, Chuck was just able to pop a super, get back, and then play a little bit more defense while he waits for that shield to go away. That seems like kind of the way to play Chuck in the new Heist meta, but overall very cleanly played from SK. They had the vision with the Chuck first pick. They knew that it's a brawler that can get shut down a little bit, but Eclipsar kind of opted not to really even try to shut them down. So a little bit questionable as far as the strategy goes, as far as the drafts go, but we are going into set number 3 right now. SK is winning 2-0. Eclipsar has to make a stand right now. It is triple dribble for our map. We see Lumi, B, Meeple, Carl, Ollie, and Juju are going to be our 6 bans here. And I'm just thinking about some brawlers that might be useful here. We have seen Willow make a little bit more of an appearance. Chester's a brawler that we haven't seen yet since the recent balance change. I think that his hypercharge rate got nerfed once again. It is negative 16.67% hypercharge rate reduction. So going to be seeing a little bit less of that purple button from him, but overall still an absolutely amazing brawler in the meta.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yes, the hypercharge does counter out like a lot of tanks or whatever. It might take a little bit longer, but you're not going to be using your hypercharge like right when you get it all the time, right? You're going to use it specifically to get value out of it. And I feel like the hypercharge rate does make a difference, but I think that SK Gaming are intentional with the way they decide to pick brawlers, because they aren't picking the brawlers just because they think the brawler is good. They feel like they have a use case for their team specifically with that brawler. So I'm gonna see how this Chester plays out, but I still think that it's gonna be rated quite heavily. Maybe not S tier, but still probably high A.
I agree. It's definitely going to be one of the better tank counters in the game still, and we saw most tanks did slip through the ban stage outside of Ollie right here. We do see Hank being picked up on the side of Eclipsar. I do like the matchup that Chester has into Hank, but either way, Hank can still be such a menace with the amount of walls on this map, and we see Eclipsar taking away another one of the strongest tank counters in the game, being the Lu. So overall, pretty solid 2-3 turn from Eclipsar. They take one of the best tanks in the meta. They take one of that tank's best counters in the meta, so they're going for a little bit of an aggressive strategy strategy. And if the Lu is able to get that hypercharge, it definitely could lead to a goal. But overall, I still feel like SK probably is going to be on the upper foot right here. They can definitely draft either another tank counter to kind of deal with the Hank even easier, or they could just kind of go with a little bit of damage right here. But the Chester is such a great piece to have into your comp early, Panda.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that it opens up a lot of versatility to what you can bring to the table here. I don't think it's a losing first pick at all. I think it's a very safe first pick. So making that was probably a good idea for SK. We do have other brawlers that could possibly be picked up here. Juju and Carl being banned out. Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like with Juju being banned out, Dynamite might be an option here, especially on a map like this specifically. And Maisie, I don't expect, but I did see varying degrees of success with Maisie on, I believe, Inner Circle used that on Dueling Beetles a few days ago. So maybe it might work out, especially if you're going up against a Hank. I feel like Hank's going to get reset a lot with that knockback there, Duncan.
I do like the idea of adding another tank counter. I feel like that definitely is called for there. And we're going to see something we don't see often in Brawl Ball, but they're going to add the kit with the final pick on the side of Eclipsar. So the kit Hank strategy is going to be in play here. Also, the kit kind of is able to solo the Dynamite if he's able to get jump, if he's able to use those invisibilities well. So a very risky draft from the side of Eclipsar. It could pan out, but playing the kit Hank into two pretty strong tank counters with Maisie and Chester is definitely a little bit of a gamble. I'm very curious to see how effective that kit's going to be. I could definitely see it going either way here.
Yeah, I was just thinking, looking at the kit and the Hank, it would have been awesome if it was the Stu on SK Gaming side. Would have been such a free Stu game for them, but unfortunately that's not the case. We're going to go into game number 1 of set number 3. SK have already got 2. They just need 1 more to cap this one off here, as they already get 1 kill. Marco is able to get 1 on Ope, and he's in a very awkward position here, but narrowly surviving as Yoshi's trying to find the mark on this left-hand side. It seems like they had a good start, but it's kind of regressed into Eclipsar having a little bit more control.
Marco's movement there was absolutely ridiculous. No idea how he was able to survive that long, but it's going to be short-lived. And Biso gets stunned as well, so he's probably going to be going down quite soon here. Ope and Yoshi are going to combine to make sure of it. So it's just Sabim holding the backlines right now. We do see a Dynamite Hypercharge online, as well as a Maisie Super. 2 supers that are both fantastic for goal scoring capabilities. Joker's going to be popping that, running straight into their face. Yoshi dashes up with the super, and they are just trying to take their time here. Don't want to rush it, and they're going to be able to be patient enough to secure that first goal of the game. SK is off to a 1-0 lead. We're going to have to see Eclipsar try to pull something out of the hat here. It's looking like they're a little bit out-comped right now, Panda.
Indeed, and SK has been playing this so well here, and Abiso is going to be hunted down by Ope. Ope also has a super here, hypercharged by Yoshi, finds a kill, and it's Sabim. Biso falls, the ball is going to be passed up to Joker, right side, the walls go down, and that's going to be a goal to cap it off. Beautiful poetry in motion from SK Gaming as they take this one and are now on match point here, Duncan.
That was well played by the Cat to try to evade some of these shots, but overall, I just don't know if the comp is really it for them. I feel like they don't have really any ability to be able to win this game unless they're able to get like a crazy Hank play, a crazy Cat play. Overall, it just seems like the double tank counter is a little bit too much to handle. Even with Marco having some of the craziest jukes I've ever seen in this game, it's just not going to be enough. And SK is playing it so patiently. We haven't seen them rush a goal yet. We do see the Cat fall pretty early as we get into game number 2 of Brawl Ball. Biso is going to be doing all he can, but he's taking heavy fire from Ope and Joker right now. Probably going to go down right here. As expected, he does. Marco's going to be trying to buy a little bit of time. Joker's going to super that straight to the face, though. We see SK with fantastic positioning as the Joker's going to try to line up this stun.
Ooh, misses the stun on Abiso, but I don't think that's going to punish them all that much here. They're going to move back a little bit. There are supers on Joker and Ope. Joker uses super onto Sabim. Gets stunned, though, in response by Sabim. Has to move back. His very low one shot, and he gets taken out by Sabim. Unfortunate position there. Now they can pass the ball cross lane onto Sabim here. Could go for the stun. They do go for the stun. That is a nice goal. Very well played by Eclipsar to understand what to do in that situation.
That was a great assist from Marco, stunning the only person who is going to be able to defend that goal, and it allows Sabim to get the goal without using his super. We see he has a hypercharge online as they are forced into a 2v3. Ope somehow survives on 34 HP, and Sabim is still holding on to this Lu hyper, but I have to imagine he's going to need to use it soon in order to not get scored on. He is going to get nuked there by Joker, though. Fantastic combination with himself. He gets another stun right there, and it looks like that's going to be a very free goal from the side of SK. Seems like they might have held on to that Lu hypercharge a little bit too long.
Beautiful stuff coming from S Gaming. Ooh, big barrel boom finds this marker on the beam. Biso with the hypercharge tries to find something, not able to do so. Hypercharged by Joker. He finds a kill onto Biso. Super by Yoshi. Finds a kill onto, I don't even remember who, Marco. And now Yoshi going in with the hypercharge. That is not going to be goal. That's actually going to be saved. And that was unfortunate from Yoshi, as SK Gaming still need to get this goal to get a win.
I do think he saved the hypercharge a bit long, but that was fantastic value, being able to stun both of them on the very edge there. Biso is able to get a fish snipe as well to take out Joker. Marco's going to jump up, but Yoshi is going to dash away from that to be able to survive to see another day. Nobody wants any smoke with Biso up on the right side of this map, but Ope and Yoshi more or less ignoring for the time being. They're going to be trying to get this ball out of the corner. Sabim is going to have to use a super to be able to prevent that from happening. But we are going into overtime, about 8 seconds left, and it looks like SK is going to have the superior positioning as of right now.
For sure, but nice stuns coming in from Marco to get Yoshi, but Joker gets his own stun. Hypercharge pop by Yoshi as well. Sorry, Joker. He goes there for the big barrel move, misses every single shot onto Sabine, but they do manage to neutralize Biso as Marco comes back, but so does Yoshi. It's a 3v2 for now, and very good positioning from S Gaming. Very aggro. They're all very healthy, and they also have hypercharge. Ooh, it marks it on Biso. Biso is going to be very low, but does use his super to get a little bit of HP here, Duncan.
Yep, Eclipsar is taking full positioning over the map right now. Marco has his jump ready to go as well, so he could try to stun somebody to clear out the path for a goal like we saw in the past. He chooses to use it to jump on to support Biso rather instead, so they're going to be moving up as a unit right here, taking a lot of damage, but that cat healing is coming in clutch. Yoshi pops hypercharge, not able to get the super off right here. Sabine gets a kill, and it looks like Eclipsar is going to be able to finally get a win on the board right here. Their first win of this entire matchup against SK, but they are going to tie up our Brawl Ball set at 1 apiece.
Yeah, they still have a long way forwards. This might be the start of something. I don't want to jinx it for them, but this is looking quite promising for Eclipsar Esports. But SK Gaming, not known for taking it lying down. They're going to change up their strategy and kind of persevere again, maybe. As we go into the next game here, it is still match point for SK Gaming as Biso gets taken out here, Duncan.
Yep, it looks like Marco's trying to get back to his wiggly ways right here, but he is going to be under too much scrutiny right there. SK has a 3v1 with Sabim just trying to hold down the backline on his own. Ope is going to be kind of forcing the issue here with the Dynamite super. They're actually able to get the combo. Biso is knocked out of the way. That is going to be the first goal coming very quickly onto the board for SK Gaming. Fantastic teamwork on the communication between SK. Between Joker and Ope, I mean, right there. Biso is going to be moving up with his Hank super, but Ope is going to clean that up very, very easily. Joker has super as well. All 3 supers online for SK right now. Marco has his jump, but not really a single target that looks appetizing. Maybe he'll opt to use it on Biso again like we saw at the end of the last game, but so far, Eclipsar is taking back a decent amount of position, and they got to go for a goal pretty soon here, though.
Indeed, Joker has been marinating with that gadget for a long time, does manage to miss, and there is no kill happening just yet. Yoshi trying to get as much value as possible. Ooh, double slows coming down as well. Ope is going to be given the ball. It's an open net for SK Gaming as they are able to get this one and a 3-0 sweep against Eclipsar Esports. Congratulations to SK Gaming.
Very, very well earned W for the side of SK. I'm happy Eclipsar was able to take a singular game, but overall, they just proved no match for the side of SK Gaming right now. An absolute titan in the region, and they are proving why they deserve to be called that. They are solidifying their spot 4-1 through 5 days of league play so far, sitting only below Humble, who is the only team that they've lost to throughout our 5 days of league play. But overall, SK just played so well as a team. They drafted very, very consistently, and although Eclipsar tried pulling out a couple tricks from the bag, it just proved to not be enough to be able to beat this absolutely fantastic SK roster. Yeah,
I mean, SK has been so dominant. Just looking at the scrim data and all the esports data that we have, they have a higher win rate against every other team than Humble does within EMEA. That is crazy. The only team where they don't have a favorable win rate against is Humble. And Humble seems to be the only team that can take them down a peg, but that's only in a few tournaments here and there. In I guess in BSC where it matters the most, that is where Humble are taking the L against SK Gaming. And I feel like both these teams, when we see them in the Brawl Cup, it's going to be interesting to see if any of the other teams in any of the other regions can really hit them out, because we're seeing such clean gameplay, very common sense drafts, such good synergy between the teams and the communication on point. Like we saw so many amazing goals happening here. I feel like a lot of teams can do it, but SK has been doing it so consistently also with Humble that I feel like most of the other teams aren't even up to the task.
Yeah, it seems like the only team that's capable of beating either SK or Humble is in fact SK or Humble. So if those two teams aren't facing off against each other, then you already know who my favorite for the match is going to be. Speaking of that, though, after this Game 3 SK Masterclass, we are going to be moving into our fourth and final matchup of the day, which is going to be the aforementioned Humble versus the new roster, the new and refreshed roster of Team Heretics with iKaos, Linane, and Rupp. But we are going to be popping up another free gems, guys, so make sure to scan that QR code quite quickly. I'll send that back over to you, Panda.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break of about 3 minutes, and after that, we will come back to our last game of the day, which might be a highlight game. It is Team Heretics versus Humble. We'll see you guys in 3 minutes. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Odilien Masters Valencia. We're going to head into draft. We took a little bit longer than before, so apologies for that. We do have B as a first pick, and the bans are going to be Frank, Poco, Draco, Hank, Lou, and Lumi. And we do have picks from Humble, which is Gray and Buster here.
Yep, so once again, we're going to see that teleport tank combination that has been so popular on Hard Rock Mine coming back into the fold for Humble. Really do like that combination quite a fair bit. Heretics does lock in the Ollie as well as the Barley, which is going to be immediately taken advantage of from the side of Humble. They're going to take that Mortis, likely to counter out that Barley, but definitely interesting. Don't see Barley too often on this map, and it seems like Heretics might be regretting that pick considering Humble immediately went with the counter Mortis pick. Definitely going to be a very aggressive comp from the side of Humble. If the Gray's able to get those teleports in pretty early, then the Mortis and the Buster might be able to go absolutely crazy. But overall, just excited to see a Mortis make its way into the games today, Panda.
Indeed, I already think Humble have comp here because, like, the Mortis addresses both the B and the Barley, but realistically, Barley is going to be hiding behind the Ollie as much as possible. But with two aggro brawlers on Humble's side and the fact that they can get onto the point with the portals from Gray, I am not too excited about the chances for Heretics. Ollie has to play out of its mind, I have to mention.
Agreed, 100%. The B is going to have to make sure that she's saving onto that shield, saving onto those 5k shots as well, to make sure that she's getting the maximum amount of value here. But overall, I feel like this should be a pretty good matchup for Humble if they're just able to get those aggro brawlers running wild and the Gray is just able to kind of sit on those gems and sit back, then they should have a pretty solid comp right here. But Heretics is obviously rolling out with a new roster. They're going out with a little bit of an unconventional comp. Barley's not a brawler that we see too often here. B and Ollie are definitely some pretty popular options though, so it's not like this game's completely over after the draft, but I definitely favor Humble pretty heavily here.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. I feel like Humble definitely have the upper hand here. The Barley, I feel like it's out of place here. Maybe it's like a graphical issue, but I don't know. It's not looking good from the draft, at least for me.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that one right there. Okay, yeah, so it looks like we did have the wrong map up there, so we are going to have dueling beetles actually for the map. So the Barley does make a lot more sense there in this instance there. Either way, the Mortis should still be a pretty strong counter right there. The Gray Buster, kind of the same thing goes for that. The teleporters are still going to be significant, but overall, I'm definitely a little bit less of a Barley pick hater at this point now that we've got the correct map up on the screen.
Yeah, okay. we went based off of Hard Rock Mine. We're very confused about it. I still though like Humble's composition because they are able to get on the point, but the Ollie seems a lot more lethal in this scenario, as does the Barley. Really, they have to be concerned about how they play around this Mortis, because the Mortis is going to be the one which is going to be a huge problem for Heretics from either staying on the point or being in the back lines or being holding on to possession and control. So I feel like Heretics are still out of their depth, but I think that this composition still makes a lot more sense because it's dueling beetles. If it's a Hard Rock Mine, I'd be like, what are they on?
Yep, and here we go into our first game between Heretics and Humble right now. We're going to see Lukey manning that Mortis right here, going quite aggressive already, trying to get to that first set of bats right there. But Chaos on the Barley is not going to back down. He's already got a super. The one good thing about being a Barley into a Mortis and a Buster is that even if you are taking a fair amount of deaths and damage, you are going to be able to cycle into that hypercharge very quickly, which we see Chaos getting quite a fair amount of value already. Team Heretics has a significant lead as of right now, but we are going to see this first Gray teleport likely get played. Semantic does pop it up there. Lanon's going to clean him up quite quickly, and now Lukey is starting to really show that Mortis's value.
Indeed, it's a great start for Heretics in terms of the possession of the hot zone. They do have like a 15% lead. Nice double bats coming in from Lukey, and whenever I see Lukey playing Mortis, oh wait 1 second, Lin going in very aggressively, gets a kill out of Semantic, gets taken out himself, and Boss is going to be low. He almost gets taken out. He's surely going to be taken out. No, he doesn't get addressed. So whenever I see Lukey on Mortis, I love it because I'm always jealous. He doesn't live close to the server. He lives in the server, buddy. Like, he's crazy the way he's gliding across the map. He's not doing all that much, but it just looks cool. Anyway, back to the game here. It is even keel for both the teams.
Yep, it looks like Luki was going for a double bats play, not quite able to connect, and we are going to see Team Heretics taking a pretty solid lead onto the zone right here. These teleporters are going to continue to be a little bit of a terrorizer for them, though. They are going to deal with Boss quite quickly there. Ollie's making his move up onto the right. Luki is kind of left on his own. He's trying to just kind of collect some of this zone time here. We should be even up at 75% apiece right now, and I think Chaos is going to need a super or a hypercharge to kind of flush them off the zone. That's exactly what he gets, but Luki is going to be able to deal with that. The Barley super does not cover the full zone. Lenane's going to be trying to make up for that difference right now, but Boss's shield is going to counter out that effect. Boss is left as the lone man standing, and with 100%, with that great teleporter, Luki's just going to be able to cap it off. So a very, very good fight from Team Heretics. It looks like they might be able to pull it off. They had an early lead, but once we see the Mortis start cycling those bats, once we have that gray teleporter into the middle of the zone, it's going to be quite difficult for Heretics to hold on to that lead into the later parts of the game, Panda.
For sure. And I have to mention, like, Luki hasn't done all that much in terms of damage or kills or whatever, right? But his control, his pressure pushes people back so much that they get distracted to the point where they forget the objective, or they have to address Luki, otherwise they're gonna die. And I feel like that he has so much more of a presence than Luna does on the other side. But right now, though, we got all the kills from Team Heretics. They're going to be on the point. They're going to get back into a position where they can make something happen. But once more, Luki's just there to distract and make sure that they're off the point.
Yep, Luki does not care about his KD ratio. He is going for strictly zone time, trying to clear out, be as much of a distraction as possible. We still have no gray portal onto the field right now, which definitely is not the best of looks for Humble, but Luki's going to kind of clean up right there. Semantic does get his teleporter down, and he manages to trade out right before exiting the field of play. So now Boss is going to be utilizing that gray teleporter. Chaos is going to kind of flush out the zone for the time being. Luki's trying to strategize a way to get back up here, but it looks like he is going to very, very cleanly get a kill right there, connecting the bats as well. Lenon's trying to do all he can as far as the zone goes, but it seems like we're going to see Humble take a little bit of a lead as we eke over 50%.
Yeah, this is a great spot for Humble. They've broken up the wall, which is keeping Chaos relatively safe. Boss is surely going to be taken out against Rup. Oh, what? Boss finds a kill against Rup. That's kind of crazy there. Luna goes in, tries to find the Hypnosis, not able to do so, gets bamboozled by Luki and the double bats as well. Find a mark. Amazing stuff coming in from Humble here. A little bit of control from Team Heretics as they try to get back on the mid, but Luki is here to finish them up.
Yeah, Luki's playing fantastically right now. He's cleaning up so very well, and we do see the lead narrowing out as far as Heretics coming back a little bit, but like I said, with those portals up right now, it's going to be so difficult. Luki does miss the hyper bats though, and that might be the break that Team Heretics need to be able to win this. Semantic is in a 1v1 right here, somehow able to come out on top, and with 1% more on the zone, he's going to survive at 10 HP. That is going to secure set number 1 in a 2-0 win for Humble.
That was actually very close. I mean, it might be a 2-0 or whatever, but that was like diabolically close for Humble. I feel like they didn't expect it to be as close as it was. Very well played from Team Heretics. I have to say that it was mostly Luki being a huge distraction for the backlines for Heretics, which led to that. I felt like Chaos on the Barley wasn't able to get the presence that he wanted to, and even Luna wasn't able to hit all of those hypnosis because you had the Buster also using the super to nullify the hypnosis. So very well played from Humble, using all of their abilities to completely isolate and take off members of Team Heretics one by one like dominoes. They kept falling.
Yep, we saw just kind of the same thing in round 1 and round 2, where they were just kind of waiting for that gray teleporter to get up. They didn't mind conceding a little bit of the zone percentage in the beginning of the game, but once those gray portals are up, it just made Boss and Luki so much more menacing on their aggro picks right there. They were able to get into the zone, farm that zone time, farm those kills, be just a menace, a distraction, all of the above, and it just worked out very well for them. And I think that we are probably going to see a little bit more gray coming into set number 2, which is going to be gem grab, gem fort, Panda.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that a lot of people are kind of hating on Heretics lately because of the lackluster results or whatever. But I think that one thing that needs to be mentioned is that Heretics, in terms of scrim data and in terms of competitive data, they're doing pretty well actually. They're winning most of their matches against all the other teams. The only matches that they lose are against Humble. Against Humble they have a 40% win rate, so that's like the only one which is kind of negative. But something that needs to be mentioned is that Heretics, for some reason, at the major blue chip tournaments are kind of falling apart there. But in terms of just coming in and doing their job day in and day out, they are not doing that bad. So it is unfortunate for them that they aren't able to perform at some of these bigger tournaments, but they are, I feel like they're on the cusp of getting there.
I would like to hope so. I feel like the more competitive teams, the better, because right now it seems like Humble and SK cannot be messed with. But we're moving into set number 2, Panda. We've got Gem Fort right here. Humble does have a 1-0 lead, but our bans are in. It is Lumi, B, Griff, Hank, Ollie, and Stu. So definitely a lot of aggro options banned out by Humble. Team Heretics banning out some of the more tank countery options right here. So we see Humble lock in the Janet with the first pick. She can be so annoying with that reset potential, with that drop the base gadget that is so good for scouting. Heretics is not going to be faltering at the side of the Janet though. They're going to be taking a Chester as far as their tank counter goes, and they're going to be grabbing up the bow to kind of use those bow mines to choke out the mid. It's going to be very difficult to push into the middle of that Gem Fort with the bow mines live. So definitely a pretty solid 2-3 from Team Heretics. That bow totem also does help your teammates charge hypercharges, so maybe they're going to be using that, trying to get Chester and bow both their hypercharges a little bit quicker. And with the balance change to Chester, maybe that's exactly what he needed. Now he'll basically be back to where he started.
Yeah, that is certainly a thing that could happen here. I like the Janet pick with the drop the base is going to be really good, but it's going to be interesting to see what Humble pair up with this Janet to specifically to ensure that they can counter out the other 2 brawls that Heretics have picked, and think about what Heretics can go for this last pick. Honestly, I'm at a little bit of a loss for what could be brought out, but Carl seems to be a pretty decent brawler here, especially on the map, because on the lanes you can't really get through the grass without going through the grass. So Carl's pickaxe is going to be across that, but they go for a Surge instead, and Finks. I feel like Finks also does a similar thing to Carl, right? Where the projectiles are fat enough that they take up the entirety of the grass lane, so you don't get shocked by who's going to be showing up. Surge is, I think, a little bit of an interesting pick here. It's unconventional, but I feel like on this map specifically, it can work because of the sneak potential that you have.
Definitely. I don't mind the Surge at all. I'm not a big fan of Surge in general, but this is one of the few maps where he can be quite useful. Finks is also very good. It seems like they were trying to pre-counter out a tank, but Heretics is not going to fall for the bait. They're going to take a Colonel Ruffs, which is a brawler we don't see quite often. Definitely could be useful with that gadget. It should counter out the Surge and the Finks quite well with the sandbags. He's going to be able to treat up his teammates as well, so maybe if they have the bow running the mid, which is more than likely, they'll try to get him a little bit of extra damage. But overall, this is a brawler that doesn't do a whole lot on his own. He also gets countered pretty hard by Janet, in my opinion, so I'm not the biggest fan of the Dog Glass pick. Overall, I think I do favor Humble's comp a little bit, but the Surge really doesn't have a great matchup, so it might be hard for him to get that initial level, and that is so important when you're playing Surge competitively.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the Ruffs is trying to force the Surge to play the Chester lane, and I don't think that's like a best option for Surge. So whoever's playing the Surge is going to have a really difficult time as we go into the set number 2. Humble took the first one. Wall breaks on the left hand side. Rip is already going to be able to get his treats up. I think this map terraforming does favor Team Heretics a little bit here, but Semantic already has 4 gems in his back pocket.
Yep, they do have a pretty significant lead as of right now. They're trying to get back into the gem mine as of right now, but I really do like that wall break on the side of Team Heretics. They're going to have so much more room to shoot, and you can see Chaos and Rupper taking advantage of that right now. Boss is still sitting back there. He's going to get hit with the Chester Mist as well, so he's going to go down. Still has yet to collect his level. This is more than likely not going to be the most fun game for my man Boss right here. But either way, Semantic is sitting on 7 gems at the moment. They have a significant gem lead. Might be a little bit difficult for them to push back in here, especially with Lukey landing his fly on the wrong side of the wall. He's going to be punished for that. Semantic is doing what he can here, but he's not going to over-aggress. We see Boss using his gadget, trying desperately to get leveled up here, and he finally is able to get rewarded with that. So Boss is going to be a much more impactful player for the rest of this game. But either way, we still see Humble, even without Boss getting levels, is still up 9 gems to 4.
That is actually kind of crazy if you think about it. And now Semantic has put on his gadget on, sorry, his super on the mid. And you see all the projectiles be slowed down by Boss. Boss using his gadget there. And all 10 gems have been picked up by Semantic. And now Semantic is the mark that they need to go for. But the hypercharge from Lukey onto Linane is going to take him out for sure. Boss is going to take out the other member as well. Like, he's the last one alive. Not going to matter as Humble take this first one quite comfortably, Duncan.
Absolutely, very comfortably. Team Heretics had no chance of getting a reset once that Janet hypercharge went online. Absolutely impossible to push through that. Such a broken hypercharge. Can't believe that didn't get nerfed now that I'm looking at it. But honestly, very well played from Humble. Even kind of without the help of their surge all that much, they were able to get off to a very, very solid start, getting all of the gems onto Semantic Sphinx right there. So very well played. It seems like not reverse, my apologies. Team Heretics is going to have to make an earlier push to try to get back into this mid. Lanon's going to be trying to get that wall break once again, but he is getting burst down by Lukey right here. Lukey's kind of getting pinched out on his own side right now, though. We see Boss flanking up on the right side, trying to get to his level right here. He does get 2 shots, so only 1 shot away from leveling up for Boss. More than likely a much better start than he had last game. Semantic is going to be taking those 5 gems back to safety as they regroup.
Great start coming in from Boss here. To get his super that early is huge, and now he's going to be taking out Lenane as well. He's going to be pressuring Roop also, but gets taken out finally, and Semantic has been given the license to pick up a lot of gems. Almost overstayed his welcome, but narrowly stayed alive, which is exactly what he needs to do. They don't need to rush it. They have a 4 gem lead, and they also have these mines that they have to take care of in the mid.
Yeah, it is going to be difficult for them to push back into this mid. Rup's bow mines are going to be zoning out the middle of this map so incredibly well. Semantic has no choice but to dip out of there. And we see the dog treats starting to come in. Rup is already treated up right there. He's going to get 5 more bow mines. And we do see the lead for the first time kind of shifting back into the hands of Team Heretics here. I have no idea how Semantic thinks he's going to be able to get through this mid right here. It seems like it's pretty much fully locked out as of right now. He's doing a good job juking these slow shots, but overall, he's going to be quite weak again, somehow still surviving. The fact that Semantic hasn't died yet in this set is actually ridiculous, but that's going to be a big kill. Rupp is going to pick up gem number 9, and they're just waiting for one more gem to spawn. This looks more or less over, though. It seems like Heretics is going to walk away with this easily.
Yeah, Heretics in a great spot here. Now Boss is going to be stunned by the mines surely. You know, he just walks all through them, but gets taken out by Roop once more. That's not going to matter. A Semantic is going to go in, but he's going to be slowed down, and I feel like that's going to be over. There are 5 seconds away from nabbing this one, and it's going to be tied at 1 apiece in the second set between Team Heretics and Humble. Then we finally see some signs of life coming in from Team Heretics.
Definitely some signs of life. Very well played right there. I feel like once they got control of that gem fort, they were able to zone it out with the bow mines absolutely perfectly. There was not much Semantic could have done about it. He overstayed his welcome a couple of times and maybe even should have died a couple more times than he did right there. He definitely got a little lucky in some of those interactions, but we're going to have to see who holds control of this mid. We see a strategy switch up here. Semantic is going to be going on the right side. We see Lukey playing the gem carrier on the Janet for the time being, but there's going to be all 3 players from both teams trying to win control of this mid. Boss is able to pick off a kill, and he should be pretty close to his super as well. He gets leveled up immediately, and he's going to additionally take out Chaos right there. So Boss is on a tear right now. Definitely the best start that we've seen from Humble in any of these games yet.
Nice, and with Lukey actually taking control of this mid, this has been a pretty good lane swap actually, with Semantic going very aggressive on lanes, and I feel like that's probably the best lane alignment for them in this situation, which has been giving them dividends, as the kill on Boss has been confirmed by Lana. Now they can move up on the right hand side, but Semantic killing the left hand side immediately ensures that Rip can't move up here.
Yep, Lukey's going to be playing better safe than sorry, taking straight to the skies right there, not trying to get caught out by the bow mines. But we see the teams are playing a little bit more lane-oriented after that initial interaction. But I do think that Heretics does have to establish some dominance in the mid. Rupp does get treated up, though, which will make his bow arrows do a very significant amount of damage. Lukey's learning that the hard way. He's barely able to survive that full clip right there. Boss is trying to move up onto Lanan on the right side, but iChaos has great positioning. Somehow able to get the kill right there. He's not going to be able to get away with any of the gems. Rupp is making a play for it. Semantic trying to keep them off, but it seems like, oh, they did buy enough time. Lukey is going to be able to hop back on these gems, and we see a tie right now. But once again, Heretics has control of the mid.
That was the best opportunity for Heretics to take that win sneakily away from Humble, but they kind of let that opportunity go by the wayside, which is unfortunate for them. But now Lana is really pressuring the Janet. Lukey has to move back, and Boss also finding it very difficult to go up against Chaos. The range disparity is not the best here for him or his team. Lots of stuns might be there. No, they aren't going to be there. 3 gems is the disparity here. They have to get the kill on either Lana or Roop here, otherwise they're going to be facing the loss here, and it's not looking that good for them as Lukey actually takes flight. He might be able to get the kill on Lana. He does. There is a reset. Roop is going to be low, but he can pick up the 10th gem here if they so desire, and that is still going to give the lead to Humble as they have managed to close that gem gap.
Yep, not going to be able to retreat yet, but that was so well played by Lukey, using the wall to his advantage to be able to land more of those Janet shots consistently. They have a 2-gem lead right now, and I believe that they're not going to be able to reset. Boss's Hypercharge is going to be getting so much value here as well. Semantic is playing that down. They're trying to secure this win, and it seems like that should do it right there. Fantastically played by Humble. They pushed together so well as a team to be able to get that final reset, and that was kind of all they needed right there, but they pushed through, I think it was 6 bow mines on the field by the time that Heretics had that countdown ready. So crazy work to be able to traverse through that minefield. Fantastic fly from Lukey to be able to get that reset secured. But overall, it seems like that was definitely a very winnable game from Team Heretics. You got to think that they can't be the happiest after folding that one.
Yeah, I think it was very close. I felt like there was an instance where if they got that kill on a Lukey, that would have been basically game over, but Lukey managed to hit that button in the right time. I think he had fractions of a second there to really react. He got that. He got the super. He was able to fly, get the kill on the bow and Roop, and that was basically, not the bow, I believe it was Lina, and that was basically enough for them to get the reset and enough for them to pick up enough gems in the mid. And once they had the mid control already, it was just so impossibly hard for Team Heretics to come back in that, because the entire time it was so contested in the mid that once you do lose control of the mid, you're basically done.
Yep, definitely. This is one of the maps that's the hardest to get back into the action on, especially when you see brawlers like Bo that are just able to like kind of fully block that off. But overall, I mean, Humble just played very well as a team. They made their push together. They made their retreat together. And it was definitely a well-earned win. But Heretics has got to be feeling bad about that. But they still have a chance. It is only 2-0 right now. They want to avoid getting swept, as we're going to be moving into our third set on Bridge Too Far. We've got some heist action. A little bit more of a ranged heist map than most of the other ones are. But once again, these dive brawlers are still going to be quite meta. Definitely expecting a little bit of Chuck and Melody. It seems like we have our bans going live right now, though. Team Heretics are going to ban 8-bit Colt Melody, and they are going to take the Chuck. The side of Humble is going to ban Lumi, Angelo, and Colt. So I definitely do like the Chuck first pick. We saw it work out quite well for SK earlier. So even though it is a brawler that can be countered, it seems like sometimes it's just not worth countering him. Some teams will opt for the base race of their own. So we'll see if Humble goes for a more defensive brawler or if they go for a more base racy comp. Maybe a little bit of a mix of both.
I like I mentioned before in Safe Zone in the previous time that we saw heist, I didn't like the Chuck pick because of the invincibility frames, but then after that I saw how good it actually was, and now I kind of favor it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this one does play out. Humble going for the Juju along with the Piper. I don't think you can go really wrong with these picks so far, but I have to see what's going to be brought out, because we don't see the Lola, we don't see the Bow, which are usual picks here on this map. So we might see that being brought out by Heretics. Amber is also still very much available.
Yeah, I definitely do like the Juju pick in general. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of it into the Chuck specifically. Not really a whole lot that you're going to be able to do as far as getting damage on that Chuck or getting damage onto that safe. But overall, Juju is more of a mid-control brawler for this map, especially with that elemental gadget. You're able to get so much speed off of the water and can definitely make her a pretty good brawler here. Piper is a nice solid mix of control and safe damage right here. But overall, I feel like they are playing a little bit more of a passive comp. Heretics is more than likely going to be trying to get a little bit more safe damage onto their side. It seems like with the Chuck strategy, they kind of want to end this game before it gets started, really.
Yeah, and I feel like the three brawlers that we most likely might see might be Carl, might be Lola, might be, never mind, might be Bo. At least I got the Bo right, but the Eve is going to be coming out for Heretics. I feel like Eve has been outclassed a lot in the previous meta. Maybe it might make some changes here. Lily is going to be coming out for a last pick for Humble. That is, I mean, certainly an interesting option here. I'm quite surprised, actually.
Yeah, I think that Humble kind of likes using the Lily similar to the way other teams use the Chuck. Obviously, it's not going to have as much mobility as the Chuck as consistently, but that gadget is so good for being able to get onto the safe. Overall, though, I feel like that is going to be the brawler to watch. If Lily's able to get significant safe damage in this game, then I think Humble does have a little bit of an advantage. I'm not the biggest fan of the Eve matchup, but it should be decent into the Piper with the ability to jump and with those babies. But we are going live into set number 3. Heretics trying to avoid getting swept by Humble right here, as Semantic is going to initially pop that gadget, running straight onto the face of iChaos, getting some good damage, but not going to be able to touch the safe. But he does clear out enough space for Lukey and Boss to be able to touch the safe right here. Lukey's getting some significant snipes in right now, as well as Boss, and that's going to be the first shield tier out of the way already.
Yeah, it's great for Humble. In fact, they've already taken quite a significant lead along with that threshold as well. Boss going to go in with the gadget. He's going to be bobbing and weaving, but into all of the shots, and the Chuck is set up finally for Team Heretics, and they should be able to get on the board as well. Now Semantics is going to go and get a little bit more damage on this save here. Doesn't manage to trigger the second shield as the Chuck is still up, so Lana actually hasn't completely set up yet. That is interesting. He's still got a lot of safe damage though.
Yep, he does indeed have a lot of safe damage. They are not really tying it up at this moment in time, but with the Chuck fully set up now, you have to assume that's coming soon. It looks like they should get it down to the 50% here. Boss is going a little bit crazy right here, though. He does use the Gree to protect himself. Lanon's going to be going back for a little bit more defense, but overall, we still see the side of Heretics above 50% as the Chuck continues to trickle that safe down to 36%. Lukey is going to trigger that final tier here, and Semantics should be spawning right on top of it in due time right now. He's going to try to go for the kill on Rupp as well. Lukey's going to get nuked by the bow mines. iChaos cleans up right there, and it looks like Lanon is only a couple of dives away from ending this game right now.
I think he's going to end it right there. That's actually great for Team Heretics as they get their first win in this set here. And Humble really need to reassess their strategies. I feel like Semantic needs to dive in more concertedly on the objective. He was trying to find some auxiliary kills, which didn't really work out for them. But this Chuck is a problem.
Yeah, we haven't seen the first pick Chuck go wrong yet today, which is a little crazy to see, but Lanon is just going to be doing his thing, getting back set up in the middle. Maybe we'll see a little bit more defense as far as the Chuck goes right here, but Semantic's going to be running straight into the face of Rupp, securing that kill. He does get bit by the Eve baby, so he might go down, but not before getting a solid amount of safe damage right here. He is cleaned up here, and it seems like we're going to have 10% damage done to the side of Humble safe, so they are coming out on top so far, but it looks like those Chuck posts are just now getting set up, so we'll have to see if more damage comes down. Great cleanup from Lukey right there. Lanon finishes his setup, but Semantic is running straight for that safe. We do see that cooldown, that shield tier pop in right there. Semantic's going to spawn right on top of him. Rupp is going to get heavy damage right there. Boss is going to throw the Gree as well. This is a lot of damage coming down, Panda.
Indeed, and they just saw the second threshold coming down for Humble. Lukey has been unaddressed on this left-hand side for so long. I'm surprised he's been alive for as long as he has been. And that's given Humble a little bit of a breathing room. But now we just see how aggressive a brawler Chuck is and is able to keep them fighting in this and keeping them in the game.
Yep, only one more shield tier for both team safes right now. Getting very, very close to 25% for the side of Humble right there. They do trigger the 25%. It looks like Lanon was able to trigger that as well for the side of Heretic. Semantic is making a run for it here. He's going to be able to get a good amount of damage. He stays alive a bit longer. Lukey's trying to finesse around those, but it's not going to be enough. Lanon is going to clean up in due time. And we see once again the Chuck first pick on Heist. It seems like you really can't counter him.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like over there, Humble could have won it. There were two instances where Semantic was on safe with his gadget, and he decided to not go for the safe damage, decided to go for a kill, failed to get the kill, or got the kill, but then got taken out by another person, and that was basically all the safe damage that they could have done. Maybe 3 or 4 hits completely removed from there. So I feel like there were some micro interactions that Humble needed to clean up there. But like you mentioned, I feel like the Chuck is even stronger now, which I never thought possible.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I feel like a lot of the brawlers that counter Chuck the hardest in both of the situations we've seen the first pick Chuck, no team has picked Cordelius, no team has picked Charlie. I'm a little bit confused why some of these shutdown brawlers aren't getting drafted. Seems like maybe the pros are sleeping on the Chuck a little tiny bit, but overall, very well played to Team Heretics to be able to bounce back after going down 0-2. They are now down 1-2. They have reverse sweep dreams right now, but we are going to be moving into set number 4. Humble's going to be hoping to not get reverse swept as we move into Brawl Ball. It's going to be pinhole pump for the map.
Yeah, and generally though, if you think about how Chuck used to be played in the previous meta, is that the longer a game goes, the Chuck becomes more impactful, right? So just because of the fact that you have those invincible shields up on the safe, it just makes it that much more viable to keep using Chuck. And I feel like till teams can understand how to play around it, it's going to be a brawler that you should possibly ban. Just looking at the last few times Chuck has been brought out here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen the Chuck Heist bans as of right now, but no matter. Moving on from Heist into some Brawl Ball, we've got Pinhole Punt. Heretics is banning Poco, Lumi, and B. Humble is banning Finks, Hank, and Ollie. So we're seeing a lot of the tanks being out of the way already, as well as Poco, who does kind of pair up better with those tank brawlers. B is also banned out here, so a little bit of tank counter action with her, Finks, and Lumi. Some brawlers that did not get banned that I'm still looking at, especially is going to be the Carl and the Buster, as well as the Max. I feel like those are three brawlers that can be very, very menacing right here. Chester as well is going to be the first pick for Humble. And last time we saw them first picking Chester, it worked out very, very well for them. So very curious to see how this is going to work out for them. They do have a good, solid tank counter. Maybe anticipating a little bit of Buster action coming in from Team Heretics, which is indeed what it's going to be. The Buster Max Synergy, a combo that we've seen at least 4 or 5 times today already, Panda.
Yeah, it's just... Like I mentioned, the balance changes haven't done all that much to address some of the stronger brawlers in the meta. We still see Chester coming out. We still see Buster coming out. Buster is anyway already good because of the Max, not the Buster itself being that great. So I think that, you know, you really have to figure out how to balance this one out, T, because it's going to be a pretty hard ride here, especially in the meta, as we have the 4th and 5th pick for Humble very soon.
I do like the Max Buster combo a lot, but as far as brawlers that Humble could have had to kind of pre-counter that, I think Chester is up there. Pretty easy to hit your 2, 3, and 4 split shots onto a Max, even with the wiggle ability that she brings to the table. Obviously, the Buster Shield is going to be impactful, but we're going to see Humble going for a Jackie and a Stu. Honestly, I really do love that finish to the draft for Humble. I think Jackie is one of the best shutdown tanks to a brawler like Buster. Buster's obviously not going to be able to pull the Jackie closer to be able to secure a kill, and Jackie is going to be able to pull the Buster closer to her if she wants to be able to secure that kill. So I think the Jackie is going to be quite menacing. Stu is going to be a tough brawler to clean up, but we're going to see Heretics going with a hard tank counter with the last pick. They're going to pick up a Gale, a brawler we don't see very often nowadays, but it can be quite useful into the Jackie, so I don't really hate it for them. Overall, though, I do think Humble has comp, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I like Humble's composition a lot. I feel like I didn't expect the Gale at all, but I feel like going into a Jackie, the Gale might be good. We're going back to the pen and paper sort of, you know, black and white, what you see rock paper scissors of how brawlers work, right? You see Jackie, you think, okay, I should probably go Gale, so maybe that's the idea there. But the speed from the Buster and the Max is a huge thing. I feel like the breakout potential is going to be huge from Team Heretics, so that's something for Humble to keep track of. But it's a very humble composition for them to play.
Yep, and we're going into the game right now, guys. Set number 4 is live, and we're going to see Heretics kind of holding down control of the middle. Gale does go down, though. Unfortunate from Chaos there. Kind of wasted his super quite a fair amount. Lanon is going to be going for a play, but immediately shut down by Boss's stun. And now we see Humble taking full control of the mid right here. Lukey's trying to move up. He does lose his dash right here. Chaos is getting a little bit ran through by Boss. No way to tell what super he's on right now, but if it is a bomb, then it is going to be very easy for them to get a goal. It ends up not being a bomb, so a little unlucky with the Chester RNG. Semantics going for a goal, and he chokes it a little bit. He shoots it a little bit too fast, but it is going to be no harm, no foul at the end of the day as he banks it off that back wall for our first goal of the day.
Indeed, Humble will not be denied here. They have a goal here. They are also up 2-1 in the set score, so this set is going to give them the win if they do get the dub here. So Team Heretics have a lot to say to ensure that it doesn't happen, as Lana gets killed on a boss quite comfortably. Now Semantic is going to go on the hunt for Lana, but gets taken out by Rope, and you see the members of Team Heretics pick up the slack.
I've made that same mistake too, but we see Boss coming back with a Chester Hypercharge online. He's not going to get very much value out of that, but he did clear them out of the mid, so maybe just a positioning play. The Chaos Gale Super is not going to do a whole lot either, so Semantics pushing up with this Jackie on the left side, putting himself into a menacing position with the Hypercharge Super, able to blast through Linane, and now it's going to be Rupp and Chaos on defense. They do have a max speed and the Gale Hypercharge with no super as of right now. They go for the trick shot, not going to end up landing right there. So Linane and Rupp both have supers back here. Probably going to have to use the speed to be able to get out of this spawn trap.
Indeed, now Hypercharge being used by both Rupp and Linane. Linane is going to be pretty low. Rupp is still very much alive. Linane gets taken out. So does Semantic on the other side. Luki is going to be going on the hunt against Chaos, but so far it seems to be a little bit of a Dayton Boss. Trying to be cheeky against Rupp, but gets pulled by Linane, gets taken out by Rupp, and a lot of this aggro presence from Humble has been neutralized by Team Heretics.
Semantic's just going to corner the ball, not taking any chances. He said, if you're going to get to that ball, you've got to go through me. And Rep seems to understand that that's not going to be super possible for the time being. A little bit of a funny interaction going down there. But Semantic going back to his SK roots, cornering that ball in the back corner and securing that first win for Humble. And it just seems like the Jackie might be a little bit too much for them to overpower, especially with the Gale not really getting a hypercharged super in that entire game. I think that is going to be a win condition for iChaos and Heretics.
Yeah, for sure. I think they need to find that value. I feel like they should be able to consider the composition that they're going up against, but it's not been paying dividends for them. Lenine getting tagged up a lot by Lukey every single time he moves to the left. Lukey's got him there, moves to the right, he's got him there as well. So that's unfortunate. Roop getting the speed onto both Lenine and iChaos, but gets taken out himself. Lukey has the ball. Could go for something here. He's trying to find the kill on Lenine. He does. He gets a trick shot in, and that is goal within 25 seconds. Humble already on the board.
That was so beautifully played by Lukey, passing the ball to himself, allowing himself to recharge that super, and then slotting in the trick shot is crazy work. Lenine's going to be using that speed, but he misses his gadget up there. Semantic falls back. Lukey trying to do all he can to buy a little bit of time right now, but we do see once again a 1-0 lead for the side of Humble, and Heretics really haven't even gotten close to scoring a goal in this entire set. You've got to imagine that Humble's got to be feeling pretty comfortable in their spot right now with the Chester bomb coming through. Not going to get too much value. Another max speed. They're making an aggressive push right here. Boss goes down. Rupp might pop another max speed to try and force the issue right here. The Gale super cleans it up, and Rupp is going to be able to slot it in. So the max speed cycle is able to finally get Team Heretics on the board in Brawl Ball.
Yeah, that's exactly what Team Heretics should keep doing as much as possible. We do have a minute 17 on the clock here. Lenine in a very aggro position gets taken out and punished. Now Semantic going in with a hypercharge. They're able to find the kill onto Roop, but obviously Semantic doesn't want any of that smoke from Chaos, considering the fact that Chaos is a Gale here. But Semantic is going to be happy just to be on this wall here, just be a big nuisance, and should find the kill onto Lenine as he does. Hypercharged by Lukey. He's going to be passing the ball into Boss. Ooh, no wall break there. Lukey gets the goal. It's over. It's done. It's dusted. It is Humble taking a 3-1 against Team Heretics.
That Chester hypercharge could not have came at a better time, and Lukey was ready, locked in for the opportunity. An undefendable goal, absolutely, for Team Heretics. So unfortunate to see them go down like that. Seems like the Gale pick wasn't the worst, but overall, they did just get overpowered at the end of the day. The Stu trick shots were able to get around them. The Jackie HP was a little bit too much to handle. And overall, it feels like Team Humble just had the better drafts, the better gameplay, and they're able to win pretty comfortably 3-1.
Yeah, and also they had the wall break from the Chester, right? Because like you never had any wall break for Team Heretics at all. The only times if there was a wall break, it would be because of Chester doing it. So I feel like those wall breaks also came in quite clutch, especially the end we got the hypercharge super as well. But I feel like if you don't have a wall break on this map, it's certainly a harder proposition to score, especially if you don't get those team wipes in. So I feel like in terms of everything, the Humble draft was much more convincing for me. Have to say I don't like the Gale pick, but maybe there was some merit to it. I just didn't happen to see it panning out the way Team Heretics wanted it.
I completely agree with you there. It's definitely a brawler we don't see too often, and it seems like for good reason. His hypercharge used to be very OP, but he does not charge that very quickly at all. It's going to be 1 or 0 a game if you're lucky, so not really the best pick of all time, but it seems like Heretics is not going to be able to pull out a W against a very, very daunting Humble roster. And with their new teammate Rupp, they've been playing decently well, but haven't really been able to establish themselves as a top 4 team. They are going to fall to 2 and 3 throughout 5 days of league play. So currently outside of playoff position, definitely not something they can't overcome if they play well throughout our last couple days of league play. But so far it seems like Humble is going to be staying at 5-0, SK at 4-1. Those are definitely our 2 teams to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, both of these 2 teams are looking so good for the Brawl Cup. I think if you're a fan of EMEA, you have some good chances in the Brawl Cup. And if EMEA wins this, they're going to have an extra slot at World Finals. So there's a lot on the line, not just for SK Gaming or Humble, but for all the other teams that are participating in both the BSC and in third-party tournaments. So it's still not over. It's the second split, gives you double the points. Heretics are not out of this tournament. They're not out of the BSC yet. So there are still a lot of positive signs for Heretics fans. You saw much better gameplay coming in today than you did yesterday from Team Heretics. Feels like the synergy is getting to a place where it might be on point. Just going to take these next 2 months to iron out all of the deficiencies that they have, and hopefully we see a much more competent top 4 performing Team Heretics in the second half.
Yep, we've seen a couple of teams that have kind of switched up the roster, trying to gel together throughout these third-party tournaments before getting into the last couple monthly finals for BSC, which is obviously what they have their eyes on. But overall, I have been a little bit impressed with some of these new rosters. I feel like they have been playing together quite well, but when matched up against the two best teams, SK and Humble, it just proves that it's not really going to be enough to be able to beat these teams that have insane synergy, insane drafting ability, and just really never get caught lacking. So overall, definitely think that Humble and SK are going to be teams to watch going forward into our World Finals coming up in a couple of months here. But it seems like they're unbeatable, like I said, unless they play each other. So here we have our leaderboard throughout 5 days of league play. Our only undefeated team is going to be Humble at 5-0. SK is going to be our only one-loss team, sitting at the 2 seed right now. And then Reply Totem at 3-2. And then we are followed by a bunch of 2 and 3 teams, topped off by Eclipsar, then Ping Abusers, Heretics, and Inner Circle, and then poor Reverso Gaming sitting at the bottom at 0-5, Panda.
Yeah, that is a tough pill to swallow if you're Reverso Gaming. I think they're officially out of this running for this tournament because yeah, it's not going to be good for them. But we do have 2 more match days. We finished 5 of the 7 match days. We still have 2 more match days. It's going to be on the 14th and 15th of May. So keep marking that on your calendars. I'm gonna hold you guys to that. It's gonna be a Wednesday and Thursday, 14th and 15th of May, at the same time as all the other streams that we've done at the same place as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. I've been your host, PandaCast, joined by the very amazing Duncan. Make sure you guys subscribe to Duncan on all of his social media platforms if you haven't already. Make sure you use code PAN in the Brawl Stars shop if you're going to be using if you're going to be buying anything, be it gems or even the Brawl Pass or the Pro Pass or whatever it is. So your help is very much appreciated. Thank you so much to the sponsors for putting on this tournament, for allowing us to put on this tournament rather. Thank you to OWN and all the people in production, because you guys get to see all the beautiful stuff in the format, and you get to see this guy's beautiful face and whatever. But a lot of the work happens behind the scenes so that you guys can get the best of the best when it comes to esports action. So thank you to the production and the admin team for everything. Thank you to the esports athletes performing and showing us what they're made of, because without you guys, why would we even be here, right? So thank you to everybody involved here. I really appreciate it. And any last closing words from you, Duncan?
I want to do a special thank you to the viewers for tapping in with us today. I definitely enjoy having an audience for these games. It's always amazing to watch the best of the best players with the best of the best fans. So appreciate you guys tapping in. Thank you for having me again, Panda. Use code PAN in the shop, but that's all I've got.
Yeah, and we will see you on match day number 6, which is going to be on May 14th. Same place, same time, same stream, and we hope to see you there. See you guys in a few days. We're rating Spen because Duncan's a huge Spen LC fan, so that's why. Otherwise, I would never rate Spen. Wait, Spen rated me, so I have to figure out who to rate instead of Spen. Okay, chat. I'll try to find somebody else. Chat. Lara's Brawl Stars. Let's go for Lara's. Lara's Brawl Stars. Guys, please raid Lara's, give him all the love, etc. Thank you so much for dropping by. Sorry for the issues. I love you guys. Peace out.